found a couple good hires on there for, I guess, content writing and whatnot. So,
That's great.
but
Yes,
other
what's
stuff-
going on, guys? Crypto Coffee, obviously, here with Gifting You HEX. We got Gary and Cabana Crypto, formerly Cabana Finance, going through a rebrand that's much more appropriate. And we're just here to talk about pretty much anything. Well, we're going to cover, a bunch of different topics. We were just talking about Upwork. I personally just made an Upwork account, due to the whole, this economy, having a 9-to-5 job and just not wanting the risk of having to rely on that, right? So I made an account a few months back when the whole COVID-19 thing really hit the fan. And I like the platform. I was going to try to start building a reputation with easy stuff. So like making websites and all that. But my plan was to just kind of do work for free for like 1 or 2 people and in exchange for a good review, right? So have you guys been on there for a while, or are you on the hiring side more so than the other side?
I have. I mean, I've hired for things that are nothing to do with crypto whatsoever, and it's mostly like it's typical branding kinds of things. Yep. I haven't looked at it as a way to basically spread message, but basically to okay, I'm going to have 7 or 8 that are kind of not good creators, and eventually you'll find 2 or 3 that are great creators, and then you keep them inside of your kind of like a Rolodex. You kind of keep these people. I even reached out recently, like maybe 3 or 4 days ago, to someone that I remembered from like 2 years ago or 3 years ago. And I was like, oh, are they still on the platform? I hope they're still on the platform. And I sent a message to them, and they're like, yeah, I'm tied up with this other gig, but I totally wouldn't work with you again. So, once you find people, just like Richard said about how many people you have to go through before you find really good ones, and then once you find the good ones, you want to keep them fed with things to do. And I think there's just so much potential in the gig economy, and work from home economy, that even people that think of doing Uber or Lyft or Uber, some kind of delivery of foods kind of thing as a gig economy, like Instacart and stuff. I think that people just have so much skill available to them and tools available to them to be creatives and to get digital messaging out. Video editing. I'm even, I'm considering to completely step away from any kind of medical in any way and just be like a video editor. I've always been jealous of Crypto Daily's content.
Yeah, I know. I would love to find someone. I probably will run into someone in the chat or in Telegram eventually that can make me kind of an intro like hexologist. Do you guys know who does his stuff? Or
he does all of his stuff. I mean,
he made that all himself.
Yeah, I mean, hexologist. I mean, if you might have noticed his earliest, if you go back to he has like 450 videos, and if you go back to the first 30 or 40, his personality was completely different. It was very somber and very low key and low energy, really. And I remember in Telegram first talking with hexologist when I think I actually remember when he joined. I'm pretty sure I remember like on a certain day, I was like, oh, who's this guy? Because he started saying, I'll make videos about how to make memes. And it's kind of just like teaching people how to do videos and little GIFs and stuff.
Yeah. Well, it's super ironic too. Back in those days, nobody knew what they were doing, really. We were all just getting started. And so was I. And I'm still figuring shit out every day. But I got some pretty good advice from the he who shall not be named guy that defected. He actually made a video all about keyword tagging and strategy for YouTube.
I remember that one.
It's kind of ironic. Like, thanks, man. You might not know it, but you helped Hex more than you heard it.
Maybe. Gift.
That's right.
The group think, the energy again that comes into a community. Of course, it's going to have fractions and fractures on occasion, and kind of diversification or specializing, or forks, if you want to call it. But the longer that you participate in something, the more that you learn. So what I'm really happy about, like in my experience, is I started out as a farmer in a very rural area and agriculture and things like that, and I didn't really care for it, but I liked the learning curve. And at 14 or 15, I wanted something different. And then I specifically went into a military system, but I wasn't militant. I didn't have any interest in being militant, but I wanted to be medical and I wanted to see places. So I went that route because it just provided the broadest potential for experience and the broadest learning curve, I thought, in my opinion, more so than college. Like when you first think about college, you're really going to maybe a campus of how many thousand and how many instructors versus the randomness of some ways of being in a bigger organization.
I am a little jaded with my college experience as well. I mean, an engineering degree, sure, that's great, but the amount that I've learned in the real world, it just so far exceeds anything that I learned in college. I mean, it was basically just a resilience test or an endurance test as far as I'm considered. Because it was just basically pass your test, get the good grade, learning some, very old methods of, civil engineering type stuff, and ended up working in tech. So really not doing any of that more traditional engineering. So yeah, everything I've learned has been, outside of the academic system. So it's an expensive piece of paper from my point of view, but here we are.
Yeah, a lot of people don't even know like what they even really want to do. It's kind of, at 18, it's like, okay, kind of decide on what you want to do for the rest of your life. And, I graduated with a degree in graphic design and never really got a job with graphic design or as a graphic designer. It was kind of, an offshoot of that, just the general marketing industry. But that's kind of where the money went. And initially, before even graphic design, I was interested in television. And it's like, okay, well, you kind of study the lanes, and it's like, okay, well, this is kind of where the money's at, and you can do this with your life if you choose this path. And television, it's like, okay, well, if you want to be a ESPN sportscaster or something like that, you got to seriously luck out and know some people and have some connections. Otherwise, it's more lucrative to look down other avenues. And I ended up more on the digital marketing side. And again, 20 years ago, dating myself, but 20 years ago when I got the graphic design degree, never would have thought that. And now it's interesting. Today it's like, okay, well, do I want my kids to go to college, or is it smarter if they really have a passion about something, that they follow that, because there's so much knowledge that's out there now that we didn't have access to when we were younger. I mean, the YouTube, Twitter, I mean, you can learn how to do anything. And are you going to go off and pay thousands, tens of thousands?
Yeah. And I'm almost wishing I had that mindset, looking back at it, but who knows how things would have been different. But so you said you do digital marketing now?
Yeah.
So Cabana, first of all, have you applied that to HEX in any way, or do you have any ideas on how one could be effective at that?
I have messed around with it at best. It's just very frustrating because I've heard you speak on this before. It's just anything crypto related. If you're messing with the Google Ads platform or YouTube, it gets flagged and you have to jump through a whole bunch of hoops. And I don't have the patience or time to really do that. I've run some ads and, just, experimented, which has, been kind of cool to see what people are searching on. But yeah, yes and no. I don't have the patience for what the hoops that they make you jump through.
I mean, I find that the display ads, right, and the search ads, those tend to not get banned too often. But for some reason, the YouTube ads are just big targets, and that's probably because there are a lot of scams out there.
Yep.
But what I need to do, and I have like a whole script ready, is just to make a custom video that doesn't mention the words crypto or Bitcoin or anything. I mean, I feel like you can say HEX because nobody thinks of HEX as a bad word in terms of ads yet. It's not popular enough yet for it to be triggerable.
Nobody watching this channel probably thinks HEX is a bad word, but there are a lot of people out there who do, unfortunately. So
yeah,
well, I think that there's 99.99% that have no association with HEX whatsoever. So even when we think that there's a bad association, it is often that we're looking inside our own house. We're looking inside our own, crypto sphere versus, the general public. I mean, I would say that maybe the word Bitcoin is a known word for more people in the world, maybe more known. And again, I'm looking at it through Western eyes that I interact with the computer on a minute by minute basis. But I think that also this idea, this bias that we already have, because it's almost like when people come into any new group and they say, "Oh, is this how this works?" And you're like, "Of course, this is how this works. This has always worked this way. Are you kidding me? How do you not know this terminology? How do you not know what that means?" Right? Because we step away from our new eyes.
Yeah, I really have to take a step back when talking to brand new people, because I'm realizing it's essentially a different language in the crypto community that we speak. Even stuff like seed word, people don't know what that is. They know password. They don't understand what a seed phrase is, or like, UTXO set. Like, no one knows. That's a pretty complex thing, but for us, it's like, oh, we just take that as a standard issue. I want to say hi to some people in the chat really quick. We got a video editor here. Number of things. Might be reaching out to you later for a quick intro video. I'll pay you in HEX. It'll be great. What else? We got Firebun. What's going on, man? And we got Chaotic Creations wants to know what happened to your beard, dude.
Hey, that was a product of, I would say getting back out of the big C and all that havoc that caused with work and whatnot. But really, it's just got to be too hot outside. I kind of really liked it, but the wife didn't. But reason, it was just way too hot. Man, it took longer to wash this thing than it did my hair. So,
I mean, you're in Florida, right?
Yeah, currently. Yeah, I'm moving around this month, so.
Seems a little toasty.
Oh my gosh, it's like so hot and humid here. It's ridiculous.
He also says I need to get some sun. Dude, believe it or not, I'm actually pretty tan. I just face the window with my computer, so it makes me look all pasty. I've just looked like a ghost this entire time. All I need to do is turn my computer and put it in another corner. But I'm about to move at the end of the month, so I'm too lazy. That's the short answer. 2 thumbs down already. 2 thumbs down already are probably from some people I pissed off on Friday. Me and Good Texture, but mostly GT. And we actually do have a guy. His name is Omar. He's going to come on a little bit later. I guess we can have him on now, but he's going to tell us a little bit about the HXY token and project. So do you guys have any thoughts on that? And maybe we can start that off and bring him up in a few minutes. Or
I think I can start best by giving a totally unbiased point of view in that I don't really know much about it. I study kind of like bigger main projects. HEX, I'm all about it, love it, and from the beginning, before the beginning. So I even found, like, over the past couple of days listening to some of these streams, there's I guess I don't want to say trouble, but just different definitions of what it is, whether it's built on top of HEX, whether it's actually a part of the ecosystem. So I'll let you guys speak on that, and just give me maybe 2 minutes of like what you think it is and how you see it, because I've heard everything from every different direction, and it's gotten a little heated over the past couple of days. And I'm just like, if we're trying to build this community, and if we immediately label something a scam, which again, I don't know much about it, but it almost seems like the reverse is happening with HEX from the outside. And it's like, oh, well, don't really know much about it, but we're going to call that something that we don't like. So I can't really speak to it. I know you guys have spoken a lot more about it.
My position is nothing tribal. Really not tribal at all. I owned Hexy. I owned way more HEX, but I also own silver and gold and real estate and different things that I value, right? You're saying, or people were saying earlier about college education and experience. Like you can get academics or you can get real world experience, and often they're not the same thing. I mean, they're really not the same thing at all. And so I think that was kind of the heat between the HEX versus, if you want to say versus HXY thing over the past couple of days. And I try to think of things in analogies, and my analogy would be something like a microwave oven. I don't need to have community for it to work. I maybe have to have electricity, something fed into it, but basically it does what it does through its physics, through its finished product status. It's done. It does something, whatever it is, it does something. Versus a company that says we have this great idea and we want to come up with this thing that no one's ever heard of called a microwave. And you'll be able to cook your coffee with it, and you'll be able to make your dinner. So to me, it's just this is what we will do, which many of us have heard this from lots of stuff. I mean, a lot of people try to start a restaurant, and some of them do very, very well, and some of them don't. But it doesn't mean that you're going to do poorly or you're going to succeed. It just means you're part of a big group, and you're going to have a bell curve about the success of a business. But to me, technology, like, I don't know, night vision goggles, they didn't exist, and then they do. And once they exist, it does what it does because of the mechanics and the elements inside of it, the technology that's developed, the systems and how they're organized. And I see that as a finished product. So I think that was part of it the other day, was that message was kind of getting muted because of emotion, or not muted. It was kind of getting squelched because of emotion on both sides. And this is because we are, for the most part, men. I'm not discounting some females that might be observing as well, but for the most part, we're men. For the most part, we are, the testosterone is a chemical, just like alcohol or cocaine or any other kind of chemistry that triggers emotions and reactions. So I just wanted people not to just be kumbaya, get along, but to realize that emotion feeds these things, but logic it through, realize what the differences are in the positions, and really have, instead of division, have an understanding that this is a microwave, this is the proposal to build a microwave. And they're just those two worlds to me.
Yeah, for sure. And I did buy some Hexy too as well. So for anyone out there, I'm out there testing it out and seeing what I think about it. But yeah, it's very different than Hex, and just mainly in terms of not being a finished product. We do have Omar here, and he's going to educate us a little bit. He had a pretty level head on Friday, I thought, and it was a better explanation than 90% of the explanations I've heard. So welcome to the stream, dude.
Hey, how you guys doing?
Hold on, man.
All right.
Sorry, I'm in my car right now. I just this is the only place I could get some quiet.
One of the best bloggers are car people now. I see like it's a trend. Like there's a Canadian guy that does like vlogs about law. He has nothing to do with crypto, but every one of them is inside of the car, and I think it's just more like relatable. So I'm going to start doing mine in cars too.
Yeah. So first off, I don't want to be like a Hexy preacher. Like I'm only here to educate you about Hex. I feel like I'm pretty well versed in Hex as well, and just tokenomics in general. I like all of it. I research, I look into all the projects that are out there, because when I was in college, I missed out on Bitcoin because I just didn't look into it. I didn't want to go through figuring out how it was mined or anything. I opened up my laptop. I tried like 1 or 2 hours to figure out what Bitcoin was, and I was like, nah, never mind. And then, lo and behold, some years later, you find out that this thing is worth several $1,000s, and that was 2012 when I graduated college. So, those kind of things, they weigh on you after a while, and you're like, man, maybe I should just be more vigilant, and instead of just kind of looking over. Now I got the feeling that you guys are really open-minded. You did, you expressed the need and the concern to just kind of look at something for what it is and not jump to conclusions. So I appreciate that. I like the energy in here. But yeah, that's how I got into Hex in general, right? After the Bitcoin bull run, you get scanned. Everyone's jaded, so they take a break. They let their bags die, and but you stayed vigilant. You stayed looking for like something because you knew there was something there. So props to you guys, and props to all of us for staying vigilant and keeping an open mind and looking for something that wasn't yet there, but we were looking for it. And we found Hex. Maybe we found a video of Richard. Maybe you found something. And then you got into Hex early, because you recognize goodness when you something good when you saw it, and that's why maybe a lot of us are in a better position than we were before we found Hex.
Oh my God, you have no idea, man. I'm doing
Right?
very,
Yeah.
very comfortable sitting on my bag over here. It's the first new bag I've bought since 2018. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a recovering Bitcoin maxi, is what I like to say.
Yeah, me too.
And,
I was in there. I was in Litecoin. I was in Bitcoin, and I found myself on Twitter when I owned each bag, or when I owned a bag of Bitcoin. I found myself on Twitter, be like, "You don't believe in it anymore. You're so dumb." Like, I don't do that kind of stuff. Like,
well,
but
that's
I was
Twitter,
doing
though.
it.
That's always
Well,
going to be Twitter.
yeah, but yeah, I was reading it and I saw how adversarial Twitter was, and I was like, just the fact that I felt the need to do it, it was weird. It wasn't like me to do something like that.
Right.
And I realized after some self-reflection that it was because I owned a bag of it.
Right.
Maybe I was all in on Bitcoin at the time, right? So whenever you own a big bag or you're heavily invested something, you start to develop these biases that you're not aware of.
Yeah.
And it's called knee-jerk reactions. I did door-to-door sales for quite a bit, and they always teach us how to get over the knee-jerk reaction, right? As soon as you knock on the door, they're gonna say, "No, oh, it's a knee-jerk reaction." They don't even know why you're there.
Same with cold
They don't
calling
know.
too.
Same thing, it, right? It's sales.
It's cold calling stocks, dude. I hate it.
Yeah, it's tough, man.
You do like solar systems or something, right? I think is it your solar?
Yeah, I did solar systems door to door.
So these people that have like the face-to-face reaction and the face-to-face, coming of their own, like you just said, and then this tribalism kind of thing that kind of just swells inside of us. It's simply, in my opinion, is because the word tribal makes you think of family, and then you're like, you just slapped my sister. Like the offense is that you just slapped my sister. My sister may be a terrible person, but you just slapped my sister.
Yeah, right. Only I can slap my sister.
Only I can
but so I guess, just kind of moving towards like the subject of people building on top of you. When people one of Bitcoin, what I believe will be Bitcoin's greatest fault is the fact that they did not allow Vitalik to build on top of Bitcoin. That's why he had to create Ethereum. And then it was, how dare you, right? How dare you think you can build something better than what we have going on here? And now look at it. I think it's going to start the next DeFi bull run with these dApps being built on top of it in general.
Just Ren, I think, is exploding right now.
Is Ren the BTC?
BTC. Hold your
I heard
key.
there's already like some number of millions of BTC is in Ren right now.
Yeah, they want to get out. Right?
Yeah,
they might be onto something. Who knows, right? But their downfall in general was the fact that they didn't want people to build on top of them. They just wanted to be digital gold. And if you look at the app and Google ecosystems, one of the reasons why they arguably will be the only ecosystems is because people have built on top of it and they have that competitive advantage. Now they just compete with each other. Microsoft tried to launch their own apps system, but nobody wanted to build on it because that's not where the money was. Vitalik Buterin, Ethereum understood that concept. So they did whatever they had to do to make sure people were building on top of them. They were the first people built on top of them, and now they have that competitive advantage. So there's a really big competitive advantage if you have people building on top of you, having an ecosystem, because not everybody just wants to stake and wait, right? So when people build on top of you, you develop a competitive advantage. I promise you, if HEX or somebody doesn't build or do something with HEX, somebody else will come along with another product like HEX and build on top of it. If it was, like let's say you weren't allowed to build on top of HEX, somebody would come and build on that CD, and then that would start to garner all the attention, and then you would see this CD product die.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the attention economy goes, I think Hexy is definitely great in terms of it adds like another layer of stickiness, right? So it goes with that speculative stickiness narrative. Right now, there's only, I think, one thing you can do with Hexy, which is just freezing it and unfreezing it. But I know there's a lot of dApps in the works. So the one thing that I was confused about is, why would someone want to buy on Hex.business if they can always get it cheaper on Uniswap? Which I think you answered yesterday, but that's my big question. If you could answer that again.
That's very understandable. So when people were paying 1,000 hex for one, they saw that the dividends were coming in there and they wanted to get it. So first, the Uniswap price or the free market price got bought up until it kind of reached parity with
Right.
the set price, and then people just make that calculation in their head. What's the ROI going to be if I get in? Let's see how the dividends work, and then the values will meet each other, and then they'll kind of alternate through arbitrage until, and then some people will use this, some people will use that, and then they'll meet each other. But I do agree with you that that's not maybe the best strategy um because it's a tragedy of the commons. It's like, oh, everybody
Right.
come and let's bid up the price, right? And Richard Hart told us that it's hard to get over a tragedy of the commons issue. That's why we have an origin addressing that problem. So I didn't say anything about it, but I do feel like it wasn't like the best design. It could work. It did show that it could work, but I don't think it was the best design. And I think they did address that. I just saw a message in Telegram that they're gonna have like the Uniswap price and the set price to kind of be the same. I don't know how that's going to work through like rounds, but I think they caught on to that.
Yeah, I
But
mean, Antonio was telling me they're going to ratchet it up, so like 1,000 more. The price will increase like 1,000 more every time they achieve some kind of a milestone,
right,
something
yeah.
along those lines.
So
So
once,
I think it's going to rely heavily on marketing, and I'm just wondering like marketing and new things being created, obviously. But
yeah,
if every time there's parity on the Hex business site and Uniswap, basically, people if it becomes more expensive on Uniswap, they're going to buy at the constant price on Hex business and then arbitrage it down to
okay. So let's just remove the transformer just for simplicity's sake. Let's just remove the website price and let's just say you can get it on Uniswap.
yeah,
So they build out 2 or 3 dApps, people start using them, and revenue started to be generated. And now people who are frozen start to get dividends. So now
okay,
people will start to take notice. Oh, I can buy these tokens on Uniswap, and I can freeze them, and that organically will bid up the price. So just act like there's no peg price. They have the peg price to kind of fund the project, but just pretend it's not there, right? You could piece it together by just assuming
yeah,
it's just a Uniswap. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't know.
yeah. But the peg price right now is where the dividends come from, right? So hopefully there's going to be other ways of funding the dividend payments other
Right,
than that peg in the future. But right
right.
now,
So
if
that's
that's
why.
it, then
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, sure. Like if you wanted to come in when DApps are there, and then quickly the price on Uniswap would get bid up, and then it would find some price, some arbitrary price where people feel like this is a good value for the dividends that I'm getting. That's why the dividends are so high. If you have a whole ecosystem feeding the stakers, and it's 90% of the dividends or the revenue that comes from those DApps come to stakers,
yeah,
that would probably be a very valuable coin. So people just need to do the math, figure out what their ROI is going to be, and figure out if that's something they want in their life.
yeah, man,
Something I love about cryptocurrency is its lifestyle design. We're all kind of designing our own cryptos. Richard Hart designed a crypto because this is what he wanted. He wanted fast throughput. He wanted this and that, and he designed it and he made it happen. And that's what everybody's doing now, right?
yeah. Well, I mean, Hex is based off the premise that everybody kind of wants mad gains, which is pretty honest in my opinion. Like we're all just in it for the price appreciation at the end of the day.
Right.
But there are different ways to go about that, right? And so I know I understand this layer two, and I hope people don't think I hate Hexy. I own it and all that, but yeah, I do have questions about it, and it's going to rely on basically them achieving their goals, which obviously I hope they do, right?
Yeah, yeah,
So
and then that's fine. Once everything clears up, the fog smoke clears out, and you're like, wow, this looks like it's good. Then you get in at that price, whatever the price may be, right? If
yep.
that's something you want at that point, it might be a higher price because you just didn't take the risk associated with getting in early. That's all.
Yeah. Well, I
So,
know,
so,
like, sorry, go ahead.
so, so I think again, what we were talking about earlier is the idea of sound money, sound finished products, and what goes through my mind is a couple of things. Positive for both communities, really. Depends on the perspective. One, I remember that Richard specifically had said that his maximalist position in Bitcoin long ago, when Ethereum came out, and he was really against Ethereum, it was because he realized later that his worldview was that that's taking away from his Bitcoin bags. And I can see that position when you might have a portfolio and you're spread over 10 or 12 things, that you're maybe not as, beholden to a single thing. And maybe that's the attraction of diversity. And
Yeah.
then,
So
and then I've seen the marketings for things that I used to hold that I held to 90% loss or more. And it was things that had, marketing and maybe some element to it. But to be truthful, I didn't know what Neo did. I just knew that it was going up, and that's why I bought into Neo. And then when it wasn't going up anymore, it went down, and it continued to go down.
yeah, right.
Right? And Richard has said, that his worldview made him miss out on Ethereum that did more multiple faster, right? So is in my position, and when I'm evaluating all these things, to me, I'm saying, this rings true. This is like the finished thing of silver, or the finished thing of gold, or the finished thing of the technology that works and it's done, and nobody's going to develop it. So I can see that position, and that's what a lot of us are about when we look at the audited code, and we look, and developers that look at Solidity, and they're really look at the without bias, they look at it. So I can see that side. And then I also can see the narrative of a story for good reason. Why does a discount token, the BNB token, it's giving you a discount on trading fees? Arguably, that's finished. That's a finished product, right? Because all you're doing is getting a discount on your trading fees on a major exchange. So it could be a finished thing, right? And it was like tens of billions of dollars market cap at one point. I don't know what it is right now, but it was $20-something per token, something like that.
Yeah.
So I can see both sides. I think our hesitation, at least my hesitation, is I'm at the position in my life where I'm looking at definite return of capital with the super hit of potential multiples of capital. That's where I'm looking at. So the speculation side is not something I'm attracted to personally at this point, right?
And
so
that makes sense for you because you're at a different stage. You're at a certain stage in your life. You've accumulated, a comfortable amount of economic energy, and now you're looking for a place to put it in a safe manner so you can preserve that. Now look at a millennial or somebody who's younger, and they still got a lot of time to like make mad gains. So you could put your product in the CD, but you still have a lot of expenses, bills. You got things to do. So maybe HEX, it could be part of your portfolio, but maybe there's something else that you could also look for in a currency, because in the real world, dividends do exist, right? So how can we model that type of system in cryptocurrency? And maybe there's people thinking about how to do that for us, So the problem with a lot of people is that they feel they have their bag, and then that's it. That's the end all be all. And when I was listening to Richard, I actually thought that. I was like, man, crypto's the last, HEX is the last crypto I need to get into. This is it. But then I got in and I kept learning, and it didn't turn out to be that way.
So Cabana crypto, sorry.
So different products for different peoples, for different lifestyles, and it's all about how you want to design your lifestyle.
So Cabana crypto is brand new, right? I don't think you know much of anything about Hexy. So what's your perspective from like what you've heard so far? And do you have any specific questions as somebody that's totally new?
I'm simplistic when it comes to trying to understanding new coins, just because there's so much attached to it. So I'm sure like you could do like a whole episode or hours and hours, which I'm sure has been done. I've been out of the loop for probably a month now with some projects, but I would just, if you could simplify it and just be like, okay, what is like your, trying to think of it, like mission, vision, values statement. Like that's something that a client will come up with and be like, okay, well, here's our mission. We want to, do this. This is our vision, and this is what we kind of hold true and valuable to our company, our product. So I guess everyone here in the chat knows, I guess, the mission of HEX. You know, the vision. I mean, welcome if anybody doesn't, but compare that to HEX, or excuse me, compared Hexy to HEX. How would you, I guess, put simply, that statement?
Yeah. So Hex is exactly what Richard Hart says. It's a CD. It's not liquid, or the best move for Hex is an e-liquid utility where massive gains, store of wealth, massive wealth generation, because it generates a 7 to 10 trillion dollar market cap. So that's big money, boomer money down the road. But it's not liquid. That's your trade-off, right?
Okay.
If you're not going to sell the yield and live off of it, that's your trade-off. So Hex is your CD, and the way the Hexy guys pitched the Hexy token in general was, we're just in it to maximize your position in Hex. That's a good one. It could be okay, but crypto's different things to different people. For me, and from what I'm picturing, it could possibly be the best dividend token, where you can maintain your position size, but you can sell off the yield and have something liquid to live off of, pay the bills or whatever. And you're rewarded proportional to the percentage of the pool that's staked. So for me, that in my younger stage in life, that's a trade-off I'm willing to take. I'm willing to take less massive gains down the road to have maybe a more comfortable style right now. So that's for me, it's the best dividend paying token in crypto, or possibly the best dividend paying.
Okay. So in terms of stocks, and I'm not talking, I guess, the dividend part of it, but say you have, a nice mid cap or something, and in this situation, maybe that's HEX. So would Hexy be a much more riskier penny stock type play then, in your view?
Well, yeah, everything in the beginning has a higher risk. So Hex in itself could have looked like a penny stock on the first month, but then it went up in value. So yeah, it's earlier on in the project. It looks very risky. You have to be able to paint the picture and catch the vision to really understand what they're trying to do, and then invest according to that level of belief, just like in any project you get into. Jeff Bezos was on the floor. He had knee pads, and he was packing boxes, and he was visioning the internet being really big. He caught the vision, and now he's the wealthiest man in the world. Right. So all of us are here in crypto before a lot of the masses, because we have certain visions that we believe in.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you got to look at all of it. Really, it's due to the asymmetrical information that people have. So we feel really confident about crypto.
And I feel good talking to you guys. I feel like the energy is good. You guys are pretty open-minded, but there's certain people in crypto that it can be really loud-spoken, that they don't share that same open-mindedness, and it could damage others. Because if you speak in absolutes and say it's a scam, it's a Ponzi, it's an ICO, and people have trust and confidence that you know your shit, they're going to believe you. They're not going to do their own research. The proper terminology you should say is do your own research. So it pisses me off when people say it's a scam, it's an ICO, and they speak in absolutes, because nothing in this world is absolutes. Everything's probabilities in the future.
Yeah, for sure.
Push back just a little bit about that. And my pushback is, if you're in a dark alley and you don't see the face of the people, you don't trust them as much as people that you meet at daytime in a coffee shop. You just don't. It's part of our human nature. And so the anonymous side of things, I mean, Charles Hoskinson has not completed the project of Cardano, is not, right? But still there's a trust level, because I've seen this guy, with Vitalik and the beginnings of Ethereum and this whole arc and this narrative and so forth about we're PhD people putting something together. And so Cardano obviously has billions of dollars worth of market cap and volatility and trade with nothing to show for it. I mean, nothing that you're using, right? So I can see both sides, but I have an issue. I really do have an issue with, to some degree, I can say, the regulations, the SEC, the CFTC, the FinCEN, the money transmitting licensure, the money broker license that requires millions of dollars to send money from place to place through crypto. There's a reason that Coinbase is permitted to do what it does. There's a reason that Monarch wallet can do what it can do because it deals with money, sending money place to place. And we are in gray zone. Wait, we are in this gray zone. But I do need to highlight that there's a difference between people that have culpable, reachable, contract, LLC, entity, lawyers, which you're saying these people have, right? Because in the last conversation that was on with Ryan, they talked about their expenses, their overhead, and the things that they need to put toward research and development and these risks, right? If I go and I buy a franchise from McDonald's, I have risk, and you might invest in me because I know that I need to comply with OSHA. I've got to make sure I pay my workers well. I've got slip and fall liability insurances. I understand that I'm running a business, and so should you, because it's McDonald's, right? Maybe I have less risk because I have a formula and a protocol to follow by something that's already worked, right? I'm selling hamburgers and real estate, basically. So I can understand the position of a business, and I can understand the speculative nature, which we're all attracted to in any kind of investment. I don't know that I wake up tomorrow. It's a speculation, right? We don't have guarantees. So I'm just saying that the caution when you say, this might be hurting people, there's two sides of that position. And I think that's where those defense and these other people that are a little bit more reactive on camera, I think that's where their heart is. Their heart is caution. Caution.
Yeah.
Reasonable caution.
I could see that. I could see that because HEX is a CD, it was audited, and like the finished product that you're getting, right? So there's, more about structures, taxes, and entities way more. I'm not going to pretend I do, but I think there's various ways to structure a company and so that it can accomplish the purpose that you have. I mean, there's various shell companies that Apple has because it wants to funnel and do certain things to avoid taxation. So there's many ways that people do clever things to make it a business to accomplish the purpose that they want to accomplish. So maybe they found some way to do that. I don't know, but a lot of those technicalities are in the nuance. How is the wording done? How is it structured? Is this defensible? And if you have a good lawyer that really knows what they're doing, you could probably get away with it, right? I'm just saying.
You can get away with a lot of things with a good lawyer, but that doesn't mean that the investors that put their money in get their money back.
That's fine. This is crypto. You just build, right? Worry about it later. Look what EOS did. They just built, right?
Yeah, I saw $4 become $1 billion. I sold $20,000 worth of EOS in order to get into HEX, but I only had $2,000 out of that to put into HEX. So don't talk about EOS as a positive.
No, I'm just saying that they did what they had to do, and then they worried about the repercussions.
Well, what are you using on EOS right now?
I'm sorry?
What are you using on EOS right now?
The point I'm trying to make is that you need to build cryptocurrency, and then do the best you can with what you have, and then if you wait until all the laws and all the pieces are in place, nothing is ever going to get done. This is crypto. You think if Richard waited until all the
I have to push back on this is crypto phrase that's getting thrown around an awful lot. This is crypto doesn't mean that you just throw money in the gutter. So I've seen the same thing with EOS. A lot of this.
No, it's not money in the gutter. It's calculated risks. So if there's enough people out there that put millions of dollars into this endeavor because they took calculated risks. Right. So there's enough people that there's a lot of economic energy that took a calculated risk and put it into Hexy. That says something, right? A lot of people didn't feel like it was a gamble. So it's your perspective. You feel like it's a gamble. You feel like it's throwing money in the dumpster, but millions of dollars did not feel that way.
One of my phrases might have gotten picked out as specific to Hexy. I was talking in general, and you were just saying this is crypto, and you're throwing a blanket statement across 4,000 cryptos, but you're really defending one. So I'm not talking about one particular crypto right now.
No, I'm talking about EOS. I'm talking about HEX too. Richard built.
No.
It is. There was lawyers and people that Tone Vase got on stream with, and they were trying to say, oh, this could be dangerous, this could be this, they could be that, and they were throwing all these allegations around. Not the lawyers per se, but like Tone Vase and all these people.
I heard the lawyers. I saw that whole interview with the lawyers with Hex.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Richard Hart knew what he was doing, though. He did not worry about it.
Right.
So if you have a good lawyer that knows what they're doing,
After it had launched, this was after it had launched, but
so
also
if,
the code is the code is the code. As far as
yeah,
we understand, that the code is immutable. Maybe there's a backdoor that I haven't heard of. Maybe there's something that Ethereum allows in the future. I don't know those kinds of things. But I'm
yeah,
saying that people that definitely want to excommunicate. I think that's a really good word for a Bitcoin maximalist that really advocated Bitcoin, to excommunicate from the Bitcoin world.
mhm.
Out of all the people that potentially would have resources, both finance and technology and knowledge and experience inside the crypto world, don't you think that Richard's a very big target for these people? And if he is, don't you think that the scrutiny and the threat to their particular bags would mean that they'd have to look at something other than just the person and the potential of what he or may build? So I think that everything's been framed in a way and built and pre-built before released in a sound finished product method. I don't see that in crypto. How many things are finished? I mean, really, you've heard the same phrases that I have heard, but when I go through the list of thousands of things, Binance Coin's the only thing I can think of that might be called finished. What is finished other than BNB?
Okay. So your main hurdle is finished versus continuing to be built.
I don't want to particularly buy into McDonald's, even though I know McDonald's may be successful. Right?
Okay. All right. Yeah. Fair enough point. Like sometimes you just gotta build and have the right legal structure in place. If these guys say they have the right legal structure and the wording is all right, so that's not an ICO, who are we to say that they are an
Yeah,
ICO?
but I lost hundreds of thousands of dollars in Dragon Chain that said the same thing.
Why'd you buy Dragon Chain? You shouldn't have done that.
Okay, it was
I'm just joking.
with Disney. It had all these kinds of things. So it had advocation, and it had $13 million to spend on legal, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So who's walking around right now? It's not the people that lost their money, right?
No, I get it. We're in a place where people have been burned in crypto time and time again.
Right.
So I get exactly where people are coming from. But like Richard Hart said, right? Sometimes there's an edge case.
We've got a question from the chat. And I know you briefly touched on it. So how is a dividend system different from a staking ladder? It seems like a dividend system to me would be more constant if it's happening every day. Although theoretically, you could just make a staking ladder that expires every single day as well. And you would have a constant source of interest from that too.
What's the staking ladder?
It's just a concept that exists within CDs as well. So you always have some portion of HEX expiring on every interval of time.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. It's well, first of all, dividends are liquid. When you're staking inside of the CD, you're not able to spend the yield. With dividends, I don't even like that word. I got to come up with a name with it, but that's what we understand, right? So with dividends, you can spend the yield. It's liquid, and you can maintain your position as well. For the most part, that's the main thing. It's liquid versus illiquid, and then dividend, or this structure that they're starting to build out, has external revenue sources, which should be the dApps, right? So a percentage of the revenue from this from this dApp comes to people who stake. So it's more like being a shareholder in a company that pays out dividends like AT&T, while HEX is more of like a CD with staking ladders in them. They're not liquid. They're not meant to be liquid.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, look, funny, Jim, you are well versed in legalities and stuff, so you've seen what was out there. You've been scammed before, so I get where you're coming from. But me, I'm ready to take risk. I'm ready to just like, and I feel like I have a high risk profile. So maybe a lot of the guys in there do, but I mean, I've also dealt with a lot of people through my line of work, and I feel like I know what to look for, and I feel like I can tell if someone's being inconsistent with what they've said. These guys have been really consistent with everything they've said time and time again. They've shown nothing but goodness to the community. given early investors more than their fair share of dividends. Nothing has been inconsistent, and I really know how to look for inconsistencies. And you cannot just make up a whole narrative and just be able to plug the pieces in that everything's consistent. That's why you shouldn't lie, because you have to keep building lies on lies until you can't manage the narrative anymore.
So you know
These
that
guys have been extreme.
I can't talk about these specific people. So please take that emotional side out of these specific people or about this particular project. So
It's not emotional, in my opinion. I'm not an emotional guy. It's psychological. It's understanding human behavior.
It's emotional. It's like I'm slapping your sister.
Oh,
I'm not slapping
Okay,
your sister.
okay. Understanding behavior, understanding
So-
human behavior.
so
And that's more, that's not a linear, like, that's not something you can put in a box. It's something you have to kind of sense and feel sometimes,
right.
right? There's
So-
that part of human. We're human. We're
So
social
you know
creatures.
that Bernie Madoff paid a lot of people billions and billions and billions of dollars. You know that Bitcoin made people very wealthy.
That was a Ponzi. Bernie's a Ponzi.
So you didn't know that until it was revealed. You didn't know it. You didn't.
It's true. It's true, but I understand the system.
There's a lot
I
of
understand
people-
how the code works.
There's a lot of people that are consistent until they're not. Maybe
But
when
I
they're
understand how the code works right now. V2, I understand how it works. There's no promises that are being made. There's no money being shifted around. I understand that much.
There's promises. Don't be disingenuous.
There's no promises from where the money's coming from.
There's promises of HXB. There's promises.
Yeah, people are developing. People are developing, right? But there's no promises of we're gonna take these money and give it to you guys, and like, I know how the code works. I know how it's structured. So that's not a promise. In HEX, you know where your money's coming from. It's coming from inflation. It's not coming from other people, right? You're in the system. So I understand the system, that there's no promises being made and money's not being shifted around to cover up some kind of elaborate scheme.
Yeah,
That's what a Ponzi scheme is. This is not a Ponzi scheme.
that's where the message gets lost. The message gets lost that it's not saying that there is something bad going on. The message that's getting lost is there's high risk. There's high risk that something bad can happen.
There's high risk in everything.
No, there's not.
Crypto, HEX.
There's not high risk in everything.
I mean, I'm sorry. There's risk. There's levels. I'm sorry. There's levels of risk. Yeah, exactly.
Risk is always subjective based on the information you have and your past experience. And, you know, like those Bernie Madoff guys didn't know they were getting scammed. And there's another guy who's a con man I was just learning about. His name was he's a guy from India who would network in people's different entrepreneur circles. What's his name? It was like Mira. It was like Kam Mira or something. And he would just network with people and befriend them and take them out and buy them stuff and never try to sell you anything up until, you know, one day he would ask you for a small favor and then you would never hear from him ever again. Or he would ask you for an investment of money into some kind of pool. What HEX business is at all. But I know from what I've seen that scams can be really, really elaborate. I mean, who's to say? Well, I mean, HEX itself is hard to call scam, but it would be the most elaborate scam the world has ever seen if HEX ended up being a scam, right? Same thing could be with Hex.business. Could be a super elaborate scam. I'm not saying it is at all, but there's always a tiny chance of possibility.
One of the biggest scams.
Remember, this is about social proof.
Machine that was supposed to take gold out of seawater, because seawater does have gold in it. I mean,
you guys are trusting that the origin address is not going to dump on your head.
Right. Yeah.
So it's the same thing. It's all social proof. It's all trust.
Yeah. You can't really take trust out of a system.
Right. You can't. So at what level what level of trust you're willing to accept?
You can't trust out of the system in the OA system, though.
Right. So as the code becomes more immutable, as you build out a city or an economy, you'll start to increase your trust because, oh, this is coded now. I get it. Same thing.
Yeah. It's a weird topic. I mean, the world is built on humans trusting other humans. It's all people making stuff at the end of the day, and, you know, different reputations and different groups of people with various levels of expertise. So, yeah, I mean, we like calling crypto trustless, right? Like trustless interest, and that's because the code does what it says it's going to do.
Exactly.
But theoretically, you could even argue we're trusting that the code will continue to do what it's going to do, and that there won't be a solar. I mean, none of this is like relevant to the people involved, but so many different possibilities could happen that at some level you're trusting any system that you're a part of. We're trusting that the US dollar won't collapse tomorrow for whatever reason.
Can you look at the chat, the live chat from
Sure.
Fireman?
What does Firebun got?
I don't know if it's true or not, and I don't really know how to look, but can you see at the 7 p.m. mark? I don't know
7 p.m. That's at the
wherever it's at, or maybe that's because
Maybe like 9 minutes ago, depending upon your time zone.
oh, thanks.
California.
9 minutes ago. Firebun. This guy? This one?
Go
Oh, they
up
pulled
higher.
out the,
Go
pulled out
3
the
or 4 higher.
liquidity.
About liquidity
Referral.
above that, or no, right below that one, the one below it. They removed liquidity, but I don't know if that's true. Does anybody see liquidity? What's Firebun talking about? You know, Firebun is HEX.live, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's also the mobile wallet staker. So
Developer or the staker? What do you mean?
he's a developer for the mobile app staker, one of them, right? Isn't he working with
Kyle.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So they pulled out some liquidity right now. Yeah, I'm not into Telegram. I don't know what's going on.
I'm sorry, Hex.vision. I said it wrong.
Yeah, that's right. Is great improvements, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they could have pulled the liquidity for now.
Why?
They've done it. They've done it before.
Is that a human interaction, or is that can never be smart contracted, or?
No, right now it's human interaction. I mean, it might be for a long time. Who knows? Okay, referral attack. So maybe there's somebody taking advantage of the referral system and kind of gaming the system in a way, which is possible, right? We've seen it happen before. When things are being built for the first time, it's hard to account for all the future possibilities and what could happen. So sometimes you have to adjust. Right?
Sorry about that.
So that happened very early on in the beginning of Hexy. They were giving out too much Hexy per how much Hex you gave out, or how much Hex you transformed, and people were just kind of dumping it on the market, rebuying, and kind of like recycling in a sense. So they had to adjust the code. So yeah, they had to figure it out as they went. But now they got the right formula for how it should be. And at least the dividend contract, that's done. That's immutable now. The Hexy contract. Okay.
Cool, man. Well,
Yeah.
I feel like I learned a lot. Do you guys have any other questions for Omar? Sorry, my internet cut out for a second there, but any questions in the chat as well?
Yeah,
I guess I would. I'm just trying to. I'm speaking from a broad perspective because I'm more of a balanced portfolio kind of guy, even when it comes to crypto, which sounds funny because crypto is a very risky asset class. But within crypto, I do like to be diversified. So to me, something like HEX, even though now we've been say 6-7 months in, seems less risky than what it once did, say, before launch. So is it just, Omar, I guess for you, is it just risk appetite? Is like HEX not just enticing enough for you? Because to me, you speak of your age and something that you can get the gains off of and keep building. To me, that's what HEX does, and that's what it's pretty much built for. So why? And I'm not coming after or anything.
No,
but why would you? I guess take that to another level when, to me, Hex is doing what it's built to do, and if it sees it out the next 1,
Okay.
2, 5, 10 years, I mean that's a great set of gains that could possibly be, already there. So why would someone go and kind of tinker with that?
Right. Because Hex is an e-liquid store of value that's going to have massive appreciation 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 years down the road. Me and my lifestyle would enjoy having something liquid while I maintain a position.
Okay.
So
So does that mean that
So that's
as
personal preference.
you sell it off? Is that how that, or you see it as a dividend that's a daily stipend kind of?
Yeah, I would like that. That would be cool. I would like that a lot, and I'm willing to forego some percentage of my massive future gains for that immediate gratification.
Does that circle, do you think that that gains momentum because of other people that have the same appetite? Because if it pays out, I think I had 1,300 hexi at the highest. And at 1,300 hexi, I think I was getting 1.2 hexi per day or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Plus the hex when it was originally just hex, paying out before V1, and then it was V2 and it's USDC, it's ETH, and it's hex. And I think that they also before Toucan Air, whatever, there was other things that are going to be added, maybe Tron or some other stuff added to it.
Right. Not Toucan Air, that broke down. But what's your question? If you could just summarize it for me, I'm a really simple guy.
So is it the appetite for a daily payout versus a staking ladder in Hex? Because
Yeah,
that
would be cool. I would like that.
Did you ever see Ryan? And again, I'm sure you have because you talked to Ryan pretty deeply. But he almost had like daily payouts on his Hex stakes. Did you ever follow him that way?
Yeah, but the optimal move for Hex is 4.5 years and beyond, right? If you have a staking ladder and you sell it off and you emergency end stake, you're selling because you had price appreciation, not because you had longer praise better.
yeah, I agree that
get
at
what I'm
some
saying?
point a ladder
Yeah,
at
go
some
ahead.
point a ladder should be spaced out more than one day. I
Right.
mean, that's just a little too much for
Yeah.
my personal.
Neurotic. I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I wouldn't
that's
want to
why-
be checking
I
this
was
every
like,
That's why
3 times
Richard
a
has
year or
big
4 times a year.
Yeah, part of why I
Yeah.
like it is because it saves me time by not having to, be rat brained over every single day checking my stuff. But
right. And that's why big payday exists, to consolidate your stuff and hopefully do longer. That's the optimal move for Hex. 4.5 years and beyond, a big stake. That's the optimal move. Anything before that, you're probably not optimizing your move for Hex. So what's a way to optimize your short-term stuff? It's to be like moving it around, gaining gains in the fastest appreciating class in history.
So I feel like in some ways, because of the field that you're dealing in, which is solar, that this idea of a perpetual energy machine might seem very real because energy is coming from the sun going to a panel and powering a house. And you
It's
see
real. It exists. That's exactly it.
that's what my point is. So you see
We're-
that.
Yeah, we're
On
creating.
the other side, there's this idea of a perpetual motion machine in physics that's impossible. It can't happen. So I think if you look at the economics, the idea of significant pool of people on a daily basis getting paid out a dividend, whether it's through transformations, whether it's through casino, lossless casino, whatever, 90% divs. That relieves 10% for that company to develop R&D, pay lawyers, pay salaries, whatever, right? Out of those numbers. And eventually maybe it gets to be a very, very big thing. So maybe those numbers work in some way.
Yeah.
But what I'm hearing is that being paid out perpetually as basically a dead weight in the system, because what is a hexy frozen staker contributing? They're not contributing stability. How are they contributing stability? Because they're always a dependent. They're always a mouth to feed. So I understand how the perpetual machine works. And I think what Crypto Coffee was talking about before is how does that cycle through in a way that the math works?
It's a bad analogy. It's not compared to a perpetual energy machine. It's not physics. It's more like a company you should compared to. So let's look at AT&T, for example. I want to be a holder or a shareholder in AT&T. I'm going to amass as much stocks as I can so that I can be paid out dividends according to proportionally to the shares that I have inside AT&T. And AT&T is going to get their revenues from providing a service or providing entertainment or providing whatever they need to provide. And as a shareholder, because I've built that stake up in that company, I'll get prepared. I could be considered dead weight, whatever. They don't want me there, but they want somebody buying their stocks somehow or some way. That's how you need to look at it.
But you realize crypto is not a share, right?
Hey, why not?
Not legally.
Crypto's not a
You have
CD.
no recourse.
No, you design your financial instruments in crypto. That's what Richard Hart did. A CD never existed before Richard Hart. He innovated and he created something that existed in the real world and he put it in this world, in the crypto world. Who's to say that can't happen to all financial products, but you just haven't thought about it yet?
What do you think about the concept of
one reason? That's why we need to be building on Ethereum, because Ethereum solves the double spend issue and it's secure enough to you guys know this. It's secure enough to have financial products that need to be censorship resistant. And Tron is not working because I don't think it does enough to solve the double spend issue. It's too fast. It's not doing it properly. And you can see a migration of all the people starting to realize that and start to put their dApps on Ethereum, and that's what's going to cause the bull run, the ERC20 bull run of 2020.
I agree with that. I think that's an interesting theory, but who knows what's actually going to happen?
Yeah, right. You're right.
What do you think about? So there's different kinds of risk, right? So risk sometimes scales or it sometimes doesn't. And I think what you mentioned earlier with just the length of time that these things have been existing, it's something called the Lindy effect, where any previous increment of time that something has been alive implies a longer future time increment of remaining alive. But that's not true with, say, age, for example, because any additional year that I am alive, I actually have a lower chance of survival just due to the fact that the risk of death doesn't scale. But like with crypto and Bitcoin's been around for 10 years. So a lot of people imply that it's going to continue to be around for a much longer time. And that seems to be the case with Ethereum too. People are starting to finally have some trust in it because it's been around for 5 years. Same thing with HEX. HEX is very new, so it's very hard to sell to somebody that doesn't have that risk tolerance right away. And maybe even you could apply the same logic to hex.business, and it just needs more survival time and proof.
Right.
Like you said, social proof that they're not scamming, but
yeah.
Again, it could be a super elaborate scheme, but I would like to just see it, survive for a longer period of time.
HEX has been alive 6 months. People don't trust it because of that. The same. Each coin or each project has to withstand and go through the test of time, and the way you can innovate or stay relevant is continually building on top. Ethereum you can consider the first layer. HEX is a second layer. Maybe HEX is a third layer. Maybe they're going to add fourth layer, third-party dApps on top of that. It's the Legos of finance that Richard talks about. That's how you grow the ecosystem. That's how you onboard the masses. And that's how HEX and Hexy both can withstand time, by just keep building, staying relevant. So they have a plan to onboard third-party apps and all that stuff, and incentivize to do them by getting a little bit Hexy for plugging into their system. And that's a good incentive model that's proven to work, actually.
Yeah, I think the concept of deploying this is a very company-like thing. I mean, it is a company, right? It's a business. It's in the name, hex.business. So, but the thing is, I think people get tripped up because they're used to this decentralized, aspect of there's no team, but all of a sudden now we're bringing in a real business, like a company. Yep. And then you have to abide by all of those laws, which I know nothing about. I'm sure Gary knows a lot more than me. But just you have to live in a different ecosystem where you are a legitimate company that is working for profit or for benefit of people.
So the last two messages in the live comments, you see those?
So apparently there was a bug, and it is due to the referral code. But apparently they fixed it. And if you want to check out that address right there, the HEX in the HEX Money main wallet account, it will not be moved until it is returned as liquidity. So what happened? Did people scam, or did people execute a vulnerability in this?
I
This
think
contract?
Carbon was saying that who controls the liquidity or put it into Uniswap pulled it because there was a referral attack.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
So
I never heard
it's-
about that.
Yeah, it's new to me. It's new to me.
it happened during our stream. That's why.
And
like right now?
Yeah.
So
Huh.
so here's the thing.
Breaking news.
So the code for V2 and that the Hexy contract is different from the referral code. I think that's done on the UI level. So yeah, I mean, script, happens, I guess.
Yeah,
So as long as you have to fix it, you have to adjust for unknowns in crypto, right? We have the origin address, accounting for the referral, so people don't arbitrage the price around, right? And that was an unknown that we can account for now because we had to.
Yeah.
It happens, right?
yeah, mistakes happen for sure.
Any questions, guys? I'm gonna.
I don't know. I think I've heard a lot about Hex in the past 2-3 days, and thanks for coming on, man. It's
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Not trying to talk shit, but also just trying to make people aware of the level of risk, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm not gonna confirm or deny or promote it or not promote it, but yeah, I'm still on the fence, I guess.
Yeah, it's cool, man. I get it. I'd be
And
on.
I
Another world
also do have a small bag of Hexy that I hope nothing bad happens to, and I hope I continue to get mad gains. So,
Yeah. So when they roll out the second contract, there's not going to be any more pauses. It's just going to continuously go through the cycles. So it'll be cool. It'll be cool. I'm sure if money is ever lost, like these guys will compensate.
all right, dude.
Yep.
Well, anybody
good
got any
talking.
other? What?
I was just gonna say it's good talking. Well, if there's any more questions.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I just don't want to come off like I'm promoting Hexy. I'm really looking out more for our mindsets.
Hmm.
And I think you guys got it though.
For sure.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, no problem. It's good to be here, guys. Thanks for the time. Talk to you
So,
later.
dude.
Peace out.
All right.
So that topic's kind of closed. I wanted to talk about the positive things about getting outside of the communities that we already obviously have some echo chambers and things like that. We kind of hear the similar story, and there's not anything as far as the code of HEX that needs improvement or added to, or programmers need to add a second feature. So I think that my energy is toward creating content, but I really don't want to be a jukebox and replay some things I've heard before. I want to start experimenting with, like I was saying, Fiverr, Upwork, other things that just feed kind of a quote unquote normal startup process, which is really about messaging, communication, about, I want to stay away from really the bells and whistles of just, sparkly things, right? I think I said something about experimenting on DLive with marketing that's kind of conventional and, gets eyeballs on it. But I also want to, I really want to have my sessions whenever I have my streams to be about bringing new ideas, not really even talking about existing stuff, but is this a new idea? Is this worth experiment? I know that you're doing things with Google Ads and how to get around certain aspects. So I think he froze. I don't know if he's coming back. But what are your thoughts, Cabana? You've been in marketing for a while. Graphic design and art was a part of your life long ago. What do you think about getting messaging out? What's conventional and what's a little bit more experimental we should try?
I think just the whole decentralization platforms are just really gaining steam, especially with just in this past week. It's been pretty crazy. People are starting to really get fed up with Twitter, YouTube, and actively finally it seems. I mean, I'm just speaking for our Hex community with something like DLive or something like that, but I'm seeing it with Twitter as well. Alternative apps, platforms, people are, passing around and be like, hey, I'm trying this now because I'm just so tired of it. So the unfortunate thing is, I think with those is the advertising or marketing infrastructure is not built out nearly as well as the existing platforms, and that's what sucks. Because if once you have a whole group migrate over to a platform and it gains steam, what good is it if you're kind of still in your own echo chamber? And if you think this way politically and your people, like-minded, are there, that's the only people that you can reach. Granted, if that's great for marketing, if that's your target audience, but the masses is, it's the whole. I started, talking about the decentralization thing. So I think, unfortunately, it's going to take a little while to play out. Now, hiring via Fiverr and Upwork, I've had success. We talked about this kind of in the pre-show, knocking out those projects, and you can learn some actually interesting ideas from just that kind of networking. If you have your own advertising staff and you're kind of used to the ideas that you bounce off of them, they bounce off of you, and it's like, okay, well, you kind of get in your own little bubble. Once you start bringing in outside people from an Upwork, you're kind of introduced to just this slightly different perspective, and it can give you an idea. So I think, reaching out, and I think what you're doing is great with Fiverr, because I mean, it's been around forever, but there's so much, you're more nimble with it, in my opinion, rather than.
I think the whole gig economy in general is going to be, that's the trend that I kind of see emerging right now in the larger macro scale as well. I mean, I've got a friend that works for Upwork, and he was just telling me the stats that they see on the platform are always just, they're in an exponential rising phase right now. And they're hiring a bunch of people, and, even doing consulting, that's kind of like a gig for Fortune 500 companies. It's the gig, consulting is the gig economy of middle to large size companies.
Yeah.
But
and that's why they can slowly raise their commission rates over time, as they've done too, because if it maintains, a certain success rate, and their community grows of people seeking new hires or people wanting work, they increase their cut just ever so slightly.
So people that have been in traditional employer relationships, especially since the COVID thing and all the unemployment that's happened, and recently, these people are either underemployed now, maybe, or they're working from home and they didn't before. Look, there's so many things that are pushing societies toward gig economy, short term, a contract status, and also decentralizing, in my opinion, from super congested people on top of each other kinds of cities into the option, at least. And so I want to experiment with, and it's not so much for me to find the amazing graphic designer or the video editor. That's partially, and those are only short-term things. I think that if I post things on Fiverr and Upwork itself, one, lots of eyes see the contest, or they see the thing I'm trying to design, and a lot of it's going to have the word hexy, or I'm not saying hexy, hex. It's going to have the maybe not the referral link, but it'll have the this is what I'm talking about. This is the kind of imagery I'm looking for. This is how I'd want to put together my identity on DLive, or my identity on whatever platform I'm going to talk about anyway, right? So it's just those little things of that people like hexologists do so well with their thumbnails and some kind of viral kind of meme idea. I think that kind of humor, one, is attractive, especially when everybody's so divisive and polarized about everything. about race, about politics, about male, female, what's your role in society, what's your class. There's so many things that are absolutely dividing people, even inside this community, as we see. So I want to basically, one, put out this campaign. Two, maybe tie that into something like what Crypto Coffee is doing. Maybe work together on something like that, where you're putting it in front of eyeballs and it's not even talking about crypto.
Yeah.
Sure, have HEX because it has a brand idea, but I'm talking about building out my Twitter page and making it look more professional. I don't want it to look as hodgepodge photoshopped because I'm not a graphic designer. And out of that, maybe 4 or 5 candidates, they say they provide a sample, because they usually will provide a sample before you hire them. So you can really in your marketing, or saying, this is what I'm looking for. It's this, and this is what it's about. A lot of eyes will see it and not take it on. Some eyes will take it on and just provide the sample. Out of that review, either from the community or from myself, because I'm funding it, I select somebody. And I think it has like win-win-win situations. When people like Crypto Coffee or Ministry of HEX or Hexologist, they didn't have a Fiverr before or Upwork before. One, there's a referral program, just like many businesses have. So they get, I think on one of the two, I'll get them confused about which one's which. I think on Fiverr that they either get it's either that one of them gets definitely $100. So if you never had an account before, you get $100. That person does, right? That signs up. And just like when you first become a host on Airbnb or some other programs, you're the first time you've ever hosted, you're going to get paid a certain amount by Airbnb. And then the referrer also gets, either on one of them, it's a financial thing, but on the other one, the referrer gets absolutely nothing, because you're just telling them, hey, you need to start an Upwork account. I can't remember which one's which, but you need to start an account. And what they get as a benefit is, when their reviews are high enough, then the company itself says, hey, you're a 4.5 star out of 5. And they send that person, that content creator, a special referral link. And what that referral link does is, anyone that they send that link to that wasn't on the platform before as a potential client of theirs, then there'll be no charge by the Upwork or the Fiverr platform. Basically, it's commission free. So more dollars go to the person that's the content creator, 100% instead of 80%. And also they get the credit card processing, they get all the benefits of running a business, and the follow through. And the way that I've worked it, I don't know if you've done it with Cabana before, but the way I've done it is, you basically just use your Google Drive. Google Drive comes with every Google account. So you just form a Google account if you didn't already have one, and you set your Google Drive folders up in a certain way that some are public with a link. So when you send them the link, they can see what's in that folder. And you're just sending them the link. So it's not public. Anybody can scrutinize and look for it and find it. It's the special link. And if they click on it, then they can see what's in that folder. And that means that they can pull down your source files. So you put inside of it the source files, like whatever images you want them to work with, or whatever kind of icons or whatever files you already have as the source. Then they can manipulate it and so forth. And when they want to submit, there's another folder inside the same master folder that's for them to put into. So they're able to put up files and pull down files through the Google Drive system. It works really, really well when you set it up properly. So I want to do stuff like that, both for HEX brand awareness, getting outside of the crypto sphere, to see if that kind of campaign gets through the YouTube and the Twitter and the screening algos, because it's not really talking about crypto. It's talking about me as my persona trying to get into the social platform fields, even though I'm talking about HEX or about things with HEX. So I want to do that and prove that it works, so that other people in the community that may have said, hey, I don't really want to be public, I don't really want to do YouTube, but I'm good with whatever else, right? so that they see proof. They say through leadership. I think Richard's done amazing as far as leadership without saying, "Hey, I'm leading you." I mean, it just entrepreneurs take this up and say, "Hey, look at all these opportunities. Look at all these tools that are at my fingertips, right?" And now we have the tools in addition that shouldn't be voluntary of tapping members in the community. It's really nice when somebody does something for someone else and they say, "Hey, let me help you with that Photoshop thing. I'll provide you a thumbnail and kind of get that imagery." But you need to take reins yourself because you're an entrepreneur, you're a business person. And if you're going to build something, I really don't want to trust someone else to build something of my business. I want to trust myself and my intuition and my drive. And if I'm lazy on a Saturday or Sunday, then, hey, I know why I didn't make progress, right? I don't want to be sitting at the end of a month and say, why is that Cardano thing not done yet? They've been talking about that since 2014.
Yeah.
Their ICO? When did Ripple come out? What the hell is over there, right?
And the beautiful thing of HEX is you have control of the future of the project.
Yeah.
Decentralized in terms of you get in what you want out of it. And yeah, Richard is a leader, but more so in an influencer way. And I would say more so thought leadership, not necessarily like a dictator leading people into battle or anything like that. He just opened up the world for people to build on top of it.
Yeah.
So thought leadership is different, and it's more effective, I think, especially on the internet, because now we're not expecting anything, and it's just you go out and build your own, like choose your own adventure, essentially. And so
times he said it, but it's very interesting how he says it. Again, he says it very abrasively sometimes, but someone will come onto a stream that he's in, he'll read through the chat, and they'll say, "Well, how come you haven't put it on Binance yet?" And he'll say, "Fuck you, you do it."
You do it. Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, if I knew someone at an exchange, I would be all over that. But I'm only going based on my own social network, which is not that large yet. But if I had the ability to, I would do that myself. All I can really do is make videos and ads, and I'm sure I've got some other skills too. But we'll see if anybody wants videos made on Upwork or any of that stuff. Because happy to do educational videos for not even HEX, but even if it's just tangentially related. Like I know for a fact I'm going to be promoting Monarch once they do their update. But anything like that, as long as it's adjacent to HEX and we'll have a symbiotic relationship with HEX, I'm happy to promote all that stuff as long as it's, I'm confident about the intentions and all that. So
yeah, I think Gary brought up an interesting point right when he first brought up the topic of this marketing, and it was I think the actual messaging. And when it comes to HEX and crypto, people kind of hear crypto or cryptocurrency or token or coin, and their brain switches off out of reflex, or they don't just take the time to understand it or think about it. So the concept of introducing that as something more familiar, like, a CD, and then kind of that being the door that opens to the blockchain and whatnot, but getting that initial messaging there, and it's be like, okay, do you understand what a CD is? We've all heard of what a CD is.
Right.
We have like even savings bonds, all these old school products that we're familiar with the bank, and that common language. People, I would bet most people understand what that is, and then once that kind of icebreaker is made and be like, okay, well, this is kind of the digital version of that.
Yep.
And you kind of, ease them into that. But, maybe that's a certain way to get around, an algorithm or something like that.
I think that is exactly the route, not only to get around algorithms, but just to speak to what people already know. You want to take all of the crypto language out of it and do passive income, make money online, digital CD, future of digital finance, blah, blah, blah. Stuff that people resonate with and actually want, yield, real ROI, stuff like that. So I think that is the route into these. And I don't think it's worth the time anymore trying to force HEX down another crypto person's throat. Maybe someone in the Neo camp or the Ripple camp, they don't want to hear about it. They just have their tokens. So I think for marketing, as far as that goes, my thoughts are always changing, right? But right now, I think, one, take the crypto language out of it, and two, target people that are just looking for digital financial products, not necessarily in the cryptocurrency community.
Yeah, and I think time will be on our side with this whole DeFi thing taking shape over the coming years. People will hear about it, but it's still up to the HEX community, because it's not going to wait on us to get this type of messaging out and be like, okay, this is kind of the CD, and then you kind of make that introduction. I mean, that has to be done now, because I mean, there's going to be other stuff that's built out there, and I mean, everybody's building their own staking coins, and obviously, I believe HEX is just the best staking coin out there. But I think it's kind of like that gateway. It's like, okay, once that door is open, and I think there's this aha moment with a lot of people, probably older, and once they get it, it's like, oh, okay, and then you understand kind of the security of it, and be like, okay, well, this is my keys, or these are my keys, this is my wallet. And then it's not all at once, because like you were saying, like seed phrase and all this stuff, it's like you do that at the beginning, and it's like, oh wait, what? This is why I can't even understand this crypto stuff. Well,
that's another concept too that we in the community we like the self-sovereignty of it. We like the fact that you have to hold your own private keys, because there's nobody that can interfere with you. But I think that a lot of people have been trained to prefer a custodial solution. We've seen it in Bitcoin. The longer that Bitcoin's been around, the more custodial solutions pop up, and people are happy to hand their private keys away for what they perceive as more safety. So we're going to face a lot of that too in crypto when advertising HEX. We're going to have to realize that maybe a lot of people don't care or don't even want to be in control of their own money, because what if they lose it? Then it's their fault. A lot of people want somebody to blame or to be insured, So I don't know. That might be an obstacle. I'm just thinking out loud.
Yeah, it's kind of taking that language out of it. I think Chaos had a comment there. It's kind of what we were saying. But another thing I brought up, I think it was maybe on Syndicate a month or so ago. I don't even know now. Yep. But it's just the concept, and this is kind of more internalized for the HEX community. It's kind of like a different discussion, maybe not internalized, but it is a different discussion of this whole obsession with market cap and getting on these exchange listings. Yeah. And it's like, at some point, wouldn't it just be awesome if, HEX wasn't really viewed as just like, oh, these are all the coins and this is the market cap, and it's kind of like, if all these were, turned in right now, this is what the market cap is. Well, this is a whole new dynamic. Like, hopefully we have a ton of it staked. You know what I mean? A lot of it depends on, whales and all that stuff, but it is a different product. It's to me anyway. And if it's messaged like that, and kind of falls into what we were saying, earlier, just with the marketing, but and this is more for the crypto community. If it was understood to be like, okay, this is kind of an actual hold. You're not, buying this coin. You're not gonna see some guy on Twitter make a chart and be like, okay, well, you bought it here, sell it here in a month. It's totally not like that, and so many cryptos are.
Yeah, it's a long-term financial instrument, and that's the monkey wrench that HEX throws into it, where a lot of people it does not compute for them. A lot of people's first question is, where can I sell? Like, as if that's the ultimate end goal. Yeah, sure it is, but it's selling over a long time frame and periodically to realize the gain.
And it's getting past, I think, and I really think it would be huge. And I think it will happen, or the time for it to happen is after, the launch phase is over. Yeah. That way all the supply is out there, and we don't, have to, hear from people saying, oh, well, 500 million coins are hitting the market every day. Okay, that's going to be done.
Can't wait.
The thing is, I remember when that flip switched, because I think I was an admin of the HEX website before it was Bitcoin HEX or whatever it was called. And I think I had a reputation on like 400 or 500 or some shit, like when it started long ago. And then I got in a tiff with Richard, and I think he took my status away. and I think I was saying something like, it's never going to get on an exchange. It's just not going to get on an exchange. And I just realized when Cabana just said that was the first thing people think of. And I wasn't even thinking, I wasn't consciously thinking about where will I sell. I was saying, you know, the resistance is too hard. Getting it on there when it's decentralized and actually follows the rules of crypto. Why would anybody ever accept it when it threatens their trading volume on other things to give them profit? Why would they want that? And I think I had some kind of thing, and then I was like, I don't want to be admin. It's just too hard. I'm out for like 3 months or some shit, right?
Yeah.
And that first thing is, where can I sell? But what's interesting is somewhere along the line before the launch, my switch had flipped, and it was partly because of the irresistible force versus the immovable object kind of dilemma, right? Richard was always consistent. He was always consistent, and the consistent was it's code. Just look at the code. Audit the code. When it's done, this will happen. Well, why can't we launch now? Let's just go ahead and get it launched now, right? So many people were like, why isn't it launched now? It's not done. You know, software is hard, and some of us thought, oh, that's just a timing thing. That's just waiting until the bear market's over. But no, I realized that it made my appetite fed, hunger more for the product to actually do what it says it was going to do. And then my switch went from where can I sell it and how many exchanges will I be able to sell it to, wow, I think I'm going to hold this thing for like years. I mean, I'm really not that concerned about where to sell it. And then when Uniswap came out or was realized, and I still have a hard time thinking that wasn't somehow a known, soon to be released thing about DEXs that actually work and had a UI that was the way that Uniswap is. Yeah, I was amazed. I was like, holy shit, this is amazing. You know?
Yeah. Uniswap was probably the best unexpected thing for us. And yeah, maybe some people were expecting it, but having no expectations just made it that much better when it happened. And as we've seen, that narrative, because I had the same doubts in my mind, these centralized exchanges have legal requirements that coins sometimes have to meet in order for them to list stuff. But I think that's only the bigger ones, like the Coinbases and the Binances and the people that are under more scrutiny. Because as we've seen in real life, exchanges have no problem adding the token. Like 25 of them have. And that's because obviously they need money. They make money from trading volume and trading fees. So for them, it's a decision of how much does the legal risk outweigh the money we gain from trading fees, which, as we've seen, it's kind of a snowball effect, 25 and counting. I think like every week or two, there seems to be a new one. So pretty cool.
Well, you remember the energy of 2017, and to get on Binance was well over, I think it got as high as $2 million per coin to get launched. So you had to have an ICO so that you could raise money, so that basically you could bribe an exchange to list your coin. And often it wasn't just a money thing, to get listed. It was also, you had to give them a crap load of coins. So founders of these projects gave the coin and they gave money. And what does it do? I mean, it might be because it's going to be a market maker and kickstart volume, but we saw this constantly. Who sells? Well, people that have. Who has? People that were in the ICO and the exchange. So everybody sells.
Yeah, I know. And the charts all look so similar. I mean, if you look at 90% of crypto charts from the 2017 bubble, they all have that peak and that blow off top and then that rebound, and then it slowly, death spirals for maybe forever. Maybe some will survive in the new bull market, but it's going to be very few. So, I mean, even HEX is probably going to take a hit once the next bull market is over as well. There's also this theory that there will be another bull market and that it's going to look and behave like the last 3 or 4. Maybe there will be another bull market, but maybe it'll be different. You know, if history rhymes but doesn't repeat, maybe this time it's going to be an Ethereum only bull market, or a selective bull market of coins that have real utility and value.
Yeah,
I don't know if we're there yet, but
it's coming, in my opinion. I'm actually funny that you mentioned I'm like writing a small little piece about that, and it's kind of taken in the direction of, I guess, regime change. And there are, you know, I would venture to say half the top 10 might not be there in a year and a half, maybe even less, just because that's kind of like the old guard, and it's not going to play out kind of like what you were saying. It's like, I don't think it's going to play out at all like 2017. And there's going to be new projects, and I think so many people holding their bags like a XRP and EOS, and they're just waiting for them to come back with this magical next bull run, which I think we can definitely get a bull run once, you know, I think it depends on mainly Bitcoin, but I think Ethereum could also, in this next run, kind of surpass Bitcoin. But I think it's going to be one of those two that ignites it, and then it's going to be a new set of projects that actually, you know, rise, and it's going to kick some of these guys out of the top 10 that certainly shouldn't be there. And, you know, some of the ones that are knocking on the door right now, I think could get in there. And there's some probably, you know, way back, you know, top 50, maybe even further than that. We don't know. There's still stuff being built.
Absolutely.
And, you know, it's going to be really exciting to watch.
Yeah, these coins always rotate in and out, and then maybe 1 or 2 stick, other than Bitcoin. Maybe 1 or 2 more will stick around in the top 10, but I pulled up a snapshot of CoinMarketCap on the screen right here from May 5th, 2013. 8 out of these 10 are just nothing now. They just totally died. I mean, Namecoin, Purecoin, Feathercoin, never even heard of NovaCoin or DevCoin. I mean, these things were top 10 at one point. And so it's just funny to think about that. I mean, if things are always cycling in and out, what gives another one staying power for the longer term? Previously, I mean, this is why Bitcoin maximalism develops in people's heads, because they see, and it is a logical conclusion. Oh, Bitcoin's been the only one at the top spot for 10 years and everything else comes and goes.
Yep.
I'm going to get on board with Bitcoin, right?
And here we are talking about market cap, and that's kind of what I brought up, I guess, a few minutes ago, is this obsession with market cap. And, you know, I'm not saying that we are, but that's kind of the go-to for crypto in general, the crypto community. I think Chaos has a very accurate comment there, his last one. You know, instead of trying to compete, it needs to be its own thing. And that's kind of what I'm saying. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. But it's, you know, people are like, oh, well, Bitcoin has a market cap of whatever it is now, 170 billion, something like that. And ETH is 25 billion. And that's the number, especially Bitcoin. You know, 170 billion. No other coin can go past that. That's kind of like the subconscious that happens, because it's like, you know, that would mean that your crypto is superior, but it's not really based upon the same metrics, especially HEX. And that's what I'm saying. If it is eventually thought of as an actual, state kind of, you know, CD, then those ordinary, you know, metrics of value should not apply. Like that 170 billion magical number should not matter if the project is completely different and from any other crypto.
That's an amazing point. I think, and if HEX continues to keep bucking the trends of, you know, shattering the reality of what we thought was possible, you know, people in the real world, they don't look or care about the market cap of gold or the market cap of dollars. Maybe like hardcore traders would, but when I buy gold, it's not because I care about the market cap of gold. I actually want the security and the stable store of value that gold is and has proven to be. So if Hex can be the digital CD, people won't care about the market cap or the rank. They'll like it because of the security of being able to earn trustless interest over time, hopefully indefinitely. I mean, I hope it never ends, right? As long as we, save global catastrophe or solar flare that takes out all the satellites. I mean, earthquake and stuff like that. I hope it never has to go away.
What's interesting also, I just noticed from those numbers you showed on screen earlier from 2013,
Yep.
This storyline, the narrative, the marketing, I saw that Litecoin was number 2.
Yeah.
And that was $60 million market cap against 1.2 billion or something like that. And really that was kind of, in my opinion, it was because Bitcoin's coloration was gold and Litecoin was silver, and this association of a 10-to-1 ratio of gold to silver, and that's how fast it comes out of the crust of the earth. And there's
That's
just
what it was called. They called Litecoin the silver to the gold of Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I mean, not really true at all, but yeah.
So the number go up story happened because of the association by Lindy effect of what already had value in your mind. You already had value in your mind if you were looking at gold and silver and alternative and sound money and all the stuff that Satoshi talked about and stuff like that, because it wasn't, I guess originally it was supposed to be peer-to-peer cash, and then the narrative changed and the story might have brought more people to look at crypto, but the story really changed when blockchain 2.0 of programmable. And then the Ethereum thing, I remember when choosing to participate in a speculative nature in 2017, I really bought Litecoin just so I could send it to another exchange faster, because Bitcoin would be either more expensive or take too long.
Yeah, it was cheaper and faster. Yeah, you would confirm at a much quicker time.
Yeah, and then now we see this narrative also with like the gas charges and stuff like that, and like again, things that talk about having lots of transactions per second, and then you calculate what the cost would be. The story behind EOS was you don't have to think about the price per transaction, because it's basically you've already bought in, you've already staked, because your EOS is in your possession. So it was kind of, again, it's just a changing what module of numbers happen first changes that narrative or that story or that marketing or that how can you digest what this thing is doing. So yeah, it's really interesting. Like and I've noticed across the different cultures that they have a young man's appetite for risk, drive too fast, I'm going to get a speeding ticket, let's live life loose and dangerous because I want to live, I'll go out in a blaze of glory, and then you have a middle-aged or older age wizened, personality like me, and I'm like, hey man, been there, done that, let's let cooler heads prevail, and let's look at this both logically and with experience, not just with leap first kind of mentality. So it's interesting what narrative does, in this community.
And I think that's why I always try to reach out to people that have more life experience, because I haven't been wrecked, or I haven't seen as many scams as you probably have, and so I'd like to hopefully learn something from people that have already made mistakes. I'm definitely going to continue to make tons of mistakes, I know that, but if talking to somebody that was there for the Bernie Madoff thing keeps me, or opens my eyes to what and how complicated a Ponzi scheme can be, that helps me make my own judgment about HEX and what could possibly be going on and all that stuff. And I've scrutinized the hell out of HEX. I just really can't find any holes in it. But yeah, I'm always trying to get perspectives, especially from just different demographics.
Yeah, I think
primarily men.
It's part of our experience curve, our the longer you survive, eating weird berries or whatever kind of let's try this thing. What's it called? Ayahuasca? Yeah, let's see if that can kill me.
Imagine the first guy that ever tried ayahuasca. How the fuck did they figure that one out?
The first guy, yeah. So probably some people tried some other berries first, died, and then the other guy survived, and this is, hey, I kind of tripped out a little bit. This is, all right, let's try that.
I mean, it's made from 2 random plants in the jungle by mixing them together, apparently.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what
I'm
happens.
sure you'll get bored if you're in the jungle, so you'll mix together whatever you want if you get bored enough.
Yeah, give them a few thousand years and a lot of boredom.
Mhm.
Yeah. But again, I really want to focus more of our energies toward being productive, and how can we be productive, because the product doesn't need change. The messaging really, I don't think, I think through example, earlier before the stream started, I think I YouTubed something, and a Google and an ad, a tiny little block came above all of the search results. And it's I wasn't looking for any, I don't even think I was looking for the keyword hex or nothing crypto. I was looking for something else like Jenna Marbles and getting deplatformed or some shit.
Oh,
And hex.win ad came up, and it was a little blurb, a little square. It might have been yours if you'd placed it, but somebody did. And I clicked on it, and it went to a referral link, and it went straight to hex.win, and loaded the cookie. And I was like, holy shit, somebody's doing that.
that's awesome. Wait, so you're saying it was a display ad on top of a video?
It was no images. It was the column of results when
Yeah.
you do a YouTube search. And I'm pretty sure I only had written Jenna Marbles, because something about she was just apologizing or getting attacked for something she said like 7 years ago, and this whole thing going on right now.
Yeah.
And another point I wanted to say before I forgot it is, you were saying, and again, how professional, I was saying how professional DLive looks, how speedy it is. When Hexologist was talking, I was saying things about DTube and about YouTube, and I know that Cabana was saying earlier as well.
Mm-hmm.
And think about who's the guy that made the most money off of YouTube that wasn't YouTube or wasn't a Google stockholder? Who's the guy that made the most money off of that? Do you know?
What, the first people to ever get in? Sergey Brin?
Yeah, and one of the first people that got in wasn't the first people in the United States. There were a lot of people that were putting content out when YouTube was first starting, but PewDiePie was in a different country. And because he was in a different country, he basically had all market share, and he was advertised. He was basically the only advertisement that could be placed on stuff in Netherlands or wherever he was at. And he now has like 120 million followers, I think, and he is the most per episode paid person in YouTube. And so you think about these legacy kind of platforms that now are very much dividing content creators. They're saying, look, I'm being shadow banned, I'm being blocked. This isn't my narrative. Why is it that Jimmy Kimmel can say things that I can't say, right? It becomes corporatized. So when you look at something like a DLive or something that has, even if they have some admin key that they can take off porn or something, they might be able to block you for doing bad things or something. But they're still, you look at the cryptocurrency sub channel on DLive, there's only 3 people, Hexologist and 2 other people talking about Bitcoin. And Hexologist had all the viewers of that episode when I was looking, nobody else looking anywhere else. But you do look at the ability to create content that has nothing to do with crypto. I see all kinds of, like, whether they're politics or whatever they might be, but they basically either are sponsored by an outside person paying for an advertisement embedded in their stream to talk about whoever sponsored them, or they're talking about their own product. They're saying, like, there's this guy I know, I've been watching for several years. He has a channel he calls a Slingshot channel. He just makes all kinds of crossbows and bows and arrows out of wood and stuff. But he's always like, hey, if you want plans for this thing, I'll sell you plans to my bow and arrow new construction. So you can do things that are crypto related embedded into your otherwise outside content. So if you want to make something to say, hey, you know what? I never tried StreamYard before, but I've done 3 episodes now, and this is what I learned. This is what made it easier. This is what made it good to bring a guest on versus just me talking to a camera. So you may not think that you have expertise yet, but there's millions of people that have less than you have, and you can educate them,
Yeah. And I was also thinking, because at the very beginning of my channel, I tried promoting multiple different projects, and my attention span just kept coming back to hacks. But I'm wondering, in the future, I probably will end up either, if not making a different channel, eventually transforming what this channel is about, just so that I can break out and reach a larger audience. Being a cryptocurrency only and actually a hex only channel, it's almost I feel like I'm getting to the point where I'm in an echo chamber of only the people that love hex. And I wonder how much it's doing at this point to get new people. So I tried making an intro 101 video, and I love all my subscribers, thank you guys and all that. But I'm wondering if at this point I'm kind of tapering off, and I got about 1,000. But I mean, who wants to, if I'm going deep about hex, somebody that's brand new is going to have no idea what the hell I'm talking about.
Right.
So
that's why I was saying those little teasers of like 30 seconds limit, out of a 10-minute clip, don't do anything more than 15 to 30 seconds at the very most. And you don't have to talk about hex specifically. You can say, like if you're talking about woodworking or furniture or whatever it might be that you like, that you're going to genuinely be curious about how to learn. Hey, you know what? I've only done StreamYard a few times, but I want to learn how to do better. Or I've heard about DLive, but I don't know how to do all those little images at the bottom to, these little icons. How can I figure that out? And you do a walkthrough. All you have to do is a walkthrough and then edit it. You already know how to edit videos, edit it down to be consumable, bite size, make it into a series instead of a full 45-minute content, make it 9 5-minute episodes.
Right.
And people will digest it in a playlist because like on Netflix, they end up saying, hey, tonight I'm feeling like binging. But otherwise they say, okay, where's the beginning? Where's the middle? And where's the end? Hey, that's 45 minutes. I don't got that time. I'm not into that.
Yeah, chopping it up is a great call. That's what Crypto Beatles did with his 5-part miniseries, and that was so much easier to digest. I don't know if Cabana, if you've got any experience, or where do you want to take your channel?
Pretty much with I guess the service that we're putting together for crypto information, content updates, things like that. I reached out to you because it's like I think we're going to be different because most services, like that don't even they shun hex, and it's like without even putting in the work for it and actually learning. Instead, you see a comment on Twitter and you parrot it, and that's that's it. And I've subscribed to numerous information sites regarding crypto, and like that's how finally, just during the big C over the past few months, I was like, it's kind of like what I've been working on, and kind of the right small crew fell together, and it fell into place, and I'm just like, okay, well, I think compared to what I know is out there, we can provide better value, especially for what people pay for these things. It's holy crap. So
courses, you mean?
No, just newsletters or something, something like that, or a monthly subscription website. I've paid them, so I'm talking my book here, and I know what's in these things. And one of them, just recently, I guess over the past like 3 months. I mean, I know I mentioned hex at the very beginning, and basically I was just like shut down because it was like, no, that's a scam. And it's like, okay, well, now 6 months later, even though it's come back down to earth a little bit, it's still up how many X. So it's things like that, to where if you're so dismissive then and you don't put in the work, then you're not really providing the most value that you can to your readers. And
I think Real Hex, realhex.com. You seen that guy or no?
Maybe a couple months ago.
What I think he's doing is a pretty interesting take on it. He's kind of developing a
just laughing at the comment.
What's going on, Richard? How you doing, man? Yeah, I'm in hell today. Is it a red candle day? Because that's probably why.
No, we're actually got a little green tintage.
Oh, we do?
Oh, the sun went down. He started out earlier in the stream,
bright. He was like a zombie.
I go from vampire to Satan over the course of my stream. But realhex.com is making a website that's looks like one of those digital online courses. It almost looks like one of those make money online courses, which I don't know if you guys.
That's Conrad Zinn, right? That's
Conrad Zen, yeah.
Yeah. I actually remember seeing his first ads just on an app, and maybe there's another idea for you, Gary, but it's a quote app. I think it's called BitScreener or something like that. And basically, you just load in your portfolio and for your crypto names, and it takes like 2 seconds. Screen flashes up with your price, and then or prices for your portfolio and whatever. And it was probably like 4 months ago, and I actually posted it in Telegram and the screenshots, and even Richard was like, "What is this?" He hadn't seen it before, but it was a cool. I mean, it was well done. Like he put in like just an ad for the app. You click on it, it goes to the website, and then it would say, your video is starting, in the next 15 minutes or something. Learn about, this revolutionary financial product or something like that. And I thought that was kind of, even though I already knew what it was, I was like, cool. First of all, check out the advertising for X. And it was kind of like a cool way for someone who wasn't already familiar to be like, all right, I'll check this out. Even though I guess some of us have seen enough spammy advertisements, we might be turned away first glance, but somebody else might be, all right, what is this thing?
Yeah, I mean, I've purchased courses before from people, and I've learned more than I ever did at university. So I know the selling course model works, and not all of them are scams, and I'm sure a lot of them are. But I mean, I've seen Bitcoin courses before, like how to do Bitcoin, basically, which sounds pretty simple, but people, it's actually making a lot of money for this one guy because he is teaching people right from the very beginning about the concepts first, and then how to get your first wallet, how to apply for your account on Coinbase or any of that stuff. And you can really make a whole entire course out of HEX too. So yeah, what I've seen, I'm not going to go buy Conrad's course because I don't think I need to, but I would be curious to see all of the paid kind of, maybe, depending on how expensive it is, maybe I will buy it just to see it. But usually courses run at a very high markup, right? They sell them for like $1,000 or $2,000 because an investment of that much money, I mean, with the kind of gains that are available in HEX, that's going to be nothing.
Yeah.
If you want to make sure you do it the right way and don't get any sidetracked.
And I'm definitely not the trading course kind of guy.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be trading, but
okay. Yeah. I was going to say, when I refer to the stuff that I've done, it's more of the newsletter-ish type things. I'm always looking, for, projects that, I haven't necessarily read much about, or, I'm trying to learn that way rather than the trading thing, which to me also seems just done on Twitter. I mean, everyone's
a trader,
a chart, and it's like, oh man, how many people are going to lose their money because of this and this, when if you pick some of the right names, hopefully like a HEX, then you don't really have to trade it.
Well, it's interesting. People have on their Twitter that they're a professional trader. Follow my calls here, and if you don't want to do that, then just buy my bot. And if you buy my bot, it'll do it for you. So it's like, I'm paying you because you're an expert, and I'm paying attention to you because you're an expert, but you have a bot that is making all that irrelevant. So why do I listen to you as authority anyway? What's the point?
Yeah, and I've done all that stuff. So I was wrecked by a bot. The dev of RubyCoin back in 2016 claimed he had a magical bot. Obviously, it only worked when prices were going up, mysteriously, right? So I put in about 0.4 Bitcoin into that thing. I got up to like 0.45, and I was like, oh, cool, it's working. And then crash. Dude exit scammed because he said development is in progress. And I guess it was just in progress till the end of time, and nothing ever happened about it. So I ended up losing, I think, 0.2 Bitcoin. So I ended up with about half the Bitcoin I started with. And then newsletters as well. You've got my experience with newsletters was I paid for this guy, blanking on his name. He's a bald dude. He used to be a famous, good financial trader in the traditional markets. Ronnie Moas, that was his name. And I don't mean to talk shit, but he got caught up in what was unfortunately a scam coin, and he promoted it to all of the people on his newsletter. It was a coin called Dignity Token. And they claimed to have a token backed by gold, right? And they were going to come up with all these new other tokens. And I feel really bad for Ronnie in this case because he had a lot of emotional stress over this because he told so many people to buy this coin. I bought the coin. I lost half a Bitcoin there. I mean, the amount of Bitcoin I've lost over my life, it's just sad. I don't even like thinking about it. But Dig was a really elaborate scam. And they took Ronnie around in these, they would fly him out to their so-called Bitcoin mining facilities, which was just part of the ruse of how they were going to make money to fund their tokens. I don't, putting 2 and 2 together, it's like, wait, why do you need a mining facility if you're doing a gold-backed token? I mean, all stuff that I've learned just from getting fucked over, but they would take him to these empty mining rigs and be like, look, we own all this land. We're going to put rigs here, here, and here, like Atlanta, Georgia, and somewhere over here because we get cheaper electricity. And they had all these really elaborate they had real property and they owned, and they had a company and a formal, I think it was an LLC with 5 or so people on the board. And so they would have these backdoor, board meetings with Ronnie. And then Ronnie would say, hey guys, I'm letting you in on, the latest news of Dig because you can't get it anywhere else. And he ended up being the fall guy. And it was really unfortunate because he was sending out some pretty emotional emails at the time. And you could tell he was taking a lot out of his mental, it was draining him mentally.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people called Bronny a scammer, and he had good intentions, right? But you never know. It's these Bernie Madoff type things where it's all good until it's not. So,
right. Yeah, that's why I wanted to remove the human element out of it. Although humans have to value anything to make it valuable, right?
Yeah. I mean, you could almost argue that the world is a Ponzi scheme, right? I mean, everything's a bubble. Everything relies on people getting into it afterwards. But I think the intention there is the important part. So if you are deliberately trying to intend to scam people, that's where Ponzi came from, because the guy was named Ponzi and he was an asshole. So, I mean,
well, again,
now you're talking shit.
I don't get too far down the tangent, but biology basically capitalizes on deception. There's girls that wear lipstick are deceiving you. They're wearing high heels, they're deceiving you. They're wearing color of hair that they weren't born with, they're deceiving you. We deceive females all the time with our status or with our
Yep.
this is my bachelor pad and my personality when I meet you versus your parents or whatever it might be, right? So we're all this deceptive nature as biology anyway. Plants that mimic other plants, animals and bugs that mimic other things. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff out there that's basically an arms race. And so, the arms race of truth, I don't know if it's ever going to be there. I think that the best option at the moment, or the best opportunity, would be in math, and that's why I put more trust in math versus, like, if a bank like a Chase could make the same proposal of HEX. It could make that same proposal. But if I didn't know about cryptocurrency, I guess that would be seen as my best alternative, my best option. Oh, the bank says that they're going to promise to pay me a certain amount of dollars if I put this amount of dollars in, right? But I may not understand what inflation means, or that the Fed can basically break that purchasing power ROI.
Yeah. Well, inflation is somebody described it to me as a hidden tax. And that's exactly what it is. You're getting taxed 2% a year on the value of your actual dollars, on the purchasing power.
Well, that's the liquid side of HEX. That's the unstaked. The unstaked basically being inflated, or they're losing purchasing power compared to staked people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Let's see, in the chat, everyone's talking about me being a vampire. Yeah, I think I figured out the camera settings a little bit. I turned the color intensity down. I can make myself redder, but I can't make myself any more green. So it's a one way.
Your shirt, when you first got that shirt, because I remember being in Boy Scout camp as a 9-year-old or something in the 70s. And I was like, that's such a 70s shirt, dude.
It's a baseball team, man.
But it just reminds me of that whole era, though. I haven't seen those that while.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. I went on Redbubble. Someone had a bunch of HEX prints on Redbubble. I don't know if it was I don't know if it's necessarily allowed to happen right now, because I know the logo is trademarked, but somebody had one up, so I just clicked buy and I bought one.
It's
It
not
came out
going
a
to be
little.
allowed anymore.
Yeah, sorry guys.
Again, I'm not speaking for Richard. I'm not speaking for anybody that holds copyright and logo and identity.
Yeah,
However, I have not got it in my head that snipping up Richard clips on video and redistributing them is harmful to the project or
no,
harmful to Richard. And I haven't seen resistance or copyright claim. And when it comes
yeah,
to the positivity, the marketing, the element of what Hex is and the explanation to others, I don't see that that's something that anybody would resist. But if it is someone that says, I'm going to slap this brand on something that's bad perception, I could see that that's okay. You're going to get sued, dude. Like you're definitely going to get sued.
yeah.
Or like,
Just, you know,
here's my
comment
line
on
of like Hex merchandise or something, and it's like, it'll probably get shut down.
it. I tried that right away, and Richard gave me the old slap on the wrist, and I said, "Oh, sorry, sorry, dude."
Well, yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, there is that channel, right? It's called Hex Clips, and it reminds me a lot of JRE Clips, Joe Rogan Experience Clips, which is multi-millions of fans that follow the clips, because sometimes you don't want to watch 3 hours of Richard. You want to hear just the juicy parts, right? So I like whoever's doing that. That's probably something I could contribute to as well.
Yeah.
And a lot of people.
Before we started doing it, and those him and Andre and some other people, I was like, just make little bites, you know, just here's the software, here's how you download it. And I was promoting it because I was doing it myself. And it was basically that little distilled, you know, and if you tagline the top so you know what you're getting into, you know, for 2 minutes, then I think it's very useful, and it helps to distribute the message across multiple channels so that if one goes down, then the message is still getting out. So I'm advocating that quite a bit. And I put like maybe 80 of them on my own channel, you know, so.
Yeah, you've got a lot that you did yourself, I think.
Yeah.
So Kinetics is sitting in the sauna. Dude, do you have a sauna in your house? I'm jealous if you do. I can't go to the gym. I still.
If he's going to do all natural birth at home or something, did he just have a kid or something?
Oh, really?
Somebody did. I know that Hexologist has one coming soon, and I thought Kinetics was about to have a kid.
Wow.
He was pregnant last time I saw him.
Congrats to those guys. Let's see what else we got in the chat. You guys got any topics you wanted to bring up?
How about some? Do we
Price
feel? Yeah, as I said, do we feel that the community is overly bullish as a whole, or not bullish enough for, say, price? I've seen some pretty outlandish price predictions, and I'm definitely on the lower end of that spectrum, like around big payday end of year. Just not trying to, be a downer, but I like to rein in expectations. So I've seen figures north of like 30 cents, and I'm like, whoa, man.
Yeah.
Like that's pretty much, if in my mind all things go great, like years down the road. So it's there's so many factors is I guess what it all comes down to, especially big payday. And we've talked about this coffee with what whales will do with stakes around then, before and after. And I don't know. I just think some of the targets are bullish. I mean, we are kind of like in this falling wedge right now. So I do think that we can break up from here towards the end of the year, and we'll go into October, November pretty strong.
Yeah. I think I would love cheap hacks all the way up until launch, but the amount of money that it takes to ratchet this thing up is so little right now because of the limited liquidity pool. But then again, if people were to add more liquidity, that would also make it harder to pump, right?
Yeah, and that's an interesting point too. Just I don't want to bring up too much Hexy, but I think I saw a good comment from Captain Kirk, Big Kirkowski, talking about the amount of ETH or whatever it is to move Hex is X, but the amount to get that same gain out of Hexy is like multiples times that. And again, it's like, okay, another point for HEX, in my opinion. You know?
Yeah. Gary also just sent me a tweet, but go check out Good Texture's Twitter if you want. I'm not going to talk about that again. Richard Hart asks, what can you do to get your referral link in front of that audience? Well, make it simple. Like buy a domain on namecheap.com. Costs $8 or $9. Mine is hex.green. I also have hex.vin, VIN, just in case anyone mistypes win. Nobody has yet, so. But if they do, they'll get my link. So make it simple and then put it in. I loved what Hexologist was doing, putting it in other streamers' channels, targeting the gamer community and stuff. Those could be quick wins because you never know who's just lurking in that chat room that might click on it. And it's not like it's going to get you banned right away. You can't just go into other Telegram channels and start shilling it. That doesn't work. So you need to go where it's safe to talk openly about things. And in a strange way, you know, the chats of live streamers are kind of a safe space as long as you're not being an asshole. Yeah, but where else can you put your referral link, guys?
That's you actually, what you should look up is on YouTube. You can learn just about everything. I think that's the university right now for anything you want to do.
Yep, kind of goes back how we started.
Yeah, and if you go to the basics of like things that work on building followers on Instagram, if you look up that kind of term, what they'll say is you're giving recognition, you're giving likes or whatever to the people that you're following. And the natural human instinct, just like Hexologist, I mean, he's got a small crowd, but it's 200 people, and he ends up recognizing those names over and over and over, right? And it's not, here's my link, I just sniped you and hope you click it and I'm off. You know, I've been here more than 3 seconds, so, you know, my time is wasted now. I think you really, if you're going to, that's why I'm trying to position that people should have other channels, other outlets, other platforms that are not crypto related, build either their own content so that they become an authority in the space. And Richard has this video from many years ago about talking about how top hats, you know, you basically buy your own freedom because you end up being, you know, something that you naturally like, you naturally, you know, and if you know what to look for when you're going to buy something, you probably know enough to be a good salesman for it too, right? Because you know the stereo equipment world. You naturally gravitated toward that, and that's how you learned how to buy what you wanted to buy. And I think if you build like that element, and you build followers through that element, you naturally are edified because I paid attention to dating stuff back when I cared about dating a lot in my 30s. And, you know, if you walk into a room by yourself as a dapper dressed person, a man, you really don't get as many eyes or attention as if you walk in with a pretty girl. More pretty girls will look at you because you are now selected. You're pre-selected, right?
That's the same thing with like profiles like Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, and all those.
Yeah.
One of the highest, most effective images that you can make for yourself is you with other girls paying you attention. So the other girls aren't looking in the camera; they're looking at you, but you are looking in the camera. I've done some research as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's part of the dating technique, but it's part of the triggers of our subconscious. And so, I mean, now Richard might have a position of authority to some degree because he has 40,000 or 50,000 followers on whatever kind of platform, or maybe he's been in the space long enough, resonating with enough people that they kind of gravitate toward it. But there was a time where he was an unknown. There's a time when everybody's an unknown. Everybody that's an expert in anything that you respect, they didn't know anything about the topic they're talking about at one point in their life. They knew nothing, right? And so you build that, and you are effectively edified by the community as you have it. I mean, even when people try to talk with Richard to a degree, I mean, he's so open, he'll talk to people that have no followers or 2 followers, you know, to a certain level, but just because they're bringing good conversation to the table, they're bringing something of value to the table that others might benefit from, right? An audience might benefit from hearing that conversation. So I think if you can get in a position to do that, through your natural curiosity, your natural desire for knowledge, there's all kinds of opportunities that your referral or your introduction will naturally and organically happen. It just naturally will happen, right?
Yeah. And it's not always going to be referral links. The links are only going to be around for a few more months unless somebody makes a different platform or way to do it. But a referral is just getting somebody in. So it's just an onboard. And even if there's no direct HEX paid to you upon a referral, you're getting a network effect that is going to increase the price for both you and the other guy. So it's kind of hard to think about it if you're not getting paid directly, but referring people is a constant thing that you should always be trying to do. And it's going to benefit you from network effects. Richard Hart says, I think people that buy stonks are a great target market. Yeah, I wonder where people go, like social media for stock buyers. I know stocktwits.com is a big one, and HEX actually has a presence on there. So you can shoot people over to stocktwits.com, which is where people talk about prices of stocks, apparently. I think it's also a decent idea to go make charts of TA on TradingView, because tradingview.com is where I know a lot of traders and stock traditional people go to look at, ideas about what might happen in the future. And if people, it's a really easy way, if people are already familiar with traditional stocks, to just link them to TradingView rather than link them to some weird crypto community that they might not feel comfortable in. So if anybody else knows where do stonk buyers go, let me know, because I'm not much of a traditional trader, but I'm sure they hang out in certain communities. So.
And I don't want to, you got to frame it where it's not bait and switch, but I mean, like we're looking at these keywords, and we constantly put in, HEX, crypto, HEX, Richard. We're looking for those keywords because we know that that's going to bring what we're curious about, because we've already heard those phrases and terms. But you got to think about what people that are looking for, what words are actually being searched. I think one of my friends makes a lot of money through Amazon, and it's because he uses these tools where he can see what people are already searching for, and then he decides what product he's going to source. There's nothing to do with bringing a new product to eyes and going and overcoming that cost of education. It goes along with already looking for what people are already seeking.
Yeah, and there's keyword research tools out there. I used to subscribe to one, but not anymore. As we're talking right now, I got my text file up with all my keywords in it, and I'm just adding passive income and a couple others that are not crypto related, because I'm realizing a lot of my keywords so far that are in all my videos are very cryptocurrency focused. So it's a good reminder to update that for anyone watching. Also in the chat, what is your favorite non-crypto keyword? Let's get some ideas going. I just put passive income. I don't know about what you guys think.
I'm looking up a link real fast. It's really good. Do you know this guy, David Patrick from Valuetainment?
No, never heard of him.
Hang on. I'll send it to you in just a minute. Let me find it real quick. It was
I'm
really covered.
Yeah. Let's see if I look up passive income on Google.
Are you doing like a keyword planner?
Yeah, keyword. Well, I have Keyword Surfer. It's a plugin. There's more in-depth tools though that are probably way better. Side hustle, that's a good one. Side hustle ideas. How to make passive income. I'm sure a lot of these are bloated and advertised already out the ass by other companies, but yeah.
It's funny because 3 days ago, this channel, I mean, it's got 2.4 million viewers, and it's he's interviewed mafia people and all the big leaders like Kobe and people like that, as far as sports figures for a little while. I mean, it's a really good channel. And just yesterday, Max Kaiser was invited, and it was a talk about who created Bitcoin. So there's more and more people that are just getting this crypto kind of phrase introduced to them, faster than I thought that they would. But this is really good, and because we're talking about politics, on so many platforms, and it's really this dividing element, I think. But let me send you this link. See if you can play it. It's 5 minutes.
Cool. Yeah, I can play it really quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, another interesting idea that I talked about in a few videos ago, concept of 2 people, 2 media. And that's the number of people and mediums that you have to expose somebody to allow them to become familiar with an idea and actually onboard onto that idea. So a YouTube Richard Hart video might be one media, and then a hexologist live stream might be a second media, or a Steam It article that Good Texture wrote might be the second media, because then you start to get that familiarity. It creates what's called a ubiquity illusion. So the premise that this is something that a bunch of people know about, and it's a deep network, which it is. Hex is a pretty deep network, but you need that exposure from 2 different people on 2 different platforms in order to feel comfortable, like as if it were everywhere.
Yeah, and going back to your keyword thing really quick, I mean, just my initial first glance at it, like there's like a whole ad group of just passive income terms out there. I mean, obviously, you know, passive income is kind of like a general or a broad match, but I mean, best ideas for passive, you know, passive income ideas, you know, it's just, I mean, there's a whole bunch of them. Another one I was thinking about, and this is more crypto related, but it is definitely becoming something that's emerging rather quickly. And just the data set I pulled up here is reflecting that, are staking terms, and like best coins to stake, best crypto to stake. And the search volumes, even though they're very little, within the past year, some of them have almost tripled. And that's pretty much just occurring within the past month or 2. So that's, I mean, that's everybody, because that's like the hot term right now, DeFi and staking, but it's, you can see it in the search trends. I mean, that's blown up. So
yeah, well, it goes back to the gig economy, and people are seeking more certainty in times of unpredictability. We do have a video that Gary shared in the chat. I can play that right now. It's called How to Unify America. So I guess we're going to learn how to fix all of our problems.
Yeah, so I don't know, will it crash do you have good internet at the moment? Because I don't know if you can stream out and also receive in the video. It gets choppy if you watch a video at the same time and show it to people, or not?
I've never shared a video live. I can give it a shot. It's a 5-minute clip, so hopefully the chat will tell me if it sucks.
Yeah, so I'll pay attention to the live stream out, so I'll tell you also. But go ahead and play it. It's really good.
Let's try it out.
Great channel. I mean, Valuetainment, and people should look at it.
You know, the message of, okay, so for example, when's the last time somebody got up and talked about what people's dreams are? So what are people's dreams? Okay, because if you go back and bring it to the individual, anytime we've had issues in our office, we had an issue one time, 12 years ago in an office of ours, and I brought everybody into the office, and we sat down. Heated conflict in this office at that time. Things were problematic, terrible. I brought the key leaders in the office and said, guys, I want to have a meeting with you. Everybody sat in, and I said, can you tell me why you chose to start a business? I said, what do you mean? Why'd you start a business? Why'd you decide to go become an entrepreneur? So why I started becoming an entrepreneur because I wanted to, you know, retire my parents. I said, really? Yeah. I said, okay, what else? Well, I decided to become an entrepreneur because I wanted to make my dad proud. Okay, how about yourself? You know, I decided to become an entrepreneur because my wife and I have been married for 12 years. And for 12 years, I've never made more than $50,000 a year at my job. And I promised my wife I was going to take her to Italy. She's from Italy. She's never been there before. And every night I go to sleep laying next to my wife. I feel bad because I wonder if she's thinking about how come my husband's not taking me to Italy? And does she compare me as a husband to other men who have delivered on their promises, like her sister's husband? And I'm sick of it. And I want to make my wife proud. Wow. And you see him getting emotional. How about yourself? You know what? I watch my daughter and I see what happened to my sister. And my sister was forced to marry a schmuck because nobody in our family had money. He was making 30 grand a year. He treats my sister terrible, and there's nothing I can do about it. and I never want to walk my daughter down the aisle to marry another schmuck like my brother. I want to give her the option. One by one, we went through everybody's dreams. You know what happened by the end? Everyone in the room was in tears. Everybody in the room was emotional. Now I said, here's the thing though. Can we say that all our dreams are different? Yes. But can we also say we all have dreams? Yes. And can we say that if we're divided, these dreams are probably not going to become a reality? Yes or no? Yes. I said, what if we come together and work together and see these dreams become a reality? And you could see faces turning. You could see people saying, you know what? Shit. Yes. Are you willing to compromise your ego with this guy that you have a problem with to do it for your daughter? Of course. Then compromise your ego. Are you willing to compromise the fact that you think you're always right? Are you willing to set that part aside and working together for your wife that goes to bed at night wondering why my husband hasn't taken me to Italy? I'm willing to do it. Are you willing to do it? Yes. I said, then let's come together. We came together. Fast forward the stories of a lot of these guys that were in the room. One of the guys' dreams, his mother had breast cancer. His name is George Palau. When I met him, he was 18 years old. His dream was, when his mother got breast cancer, when he called me, the guy was in tears, emotional. He lived in Palmdale at the time. Today, he's taken his family all over the world. His family's dreams have become a reality because we emphasized and we focused on what? Dreams. You got a Medellin and Sao Paulo when I met these guys, and we focused on the dreams. You see what's happening with their lives, what they're doing with their families. I think we have gotten away from dreams, and we're spending way too much time with nightmares. And you don't hear a lot of politicians talking about dreams, and that's a scary thought to me. It's a very simple language, and we're just not doing it.
Pat, you have to do a video on that exact topic, dreams and nightmares.
I mean, we just did it right now.
No. This is like a motivational.
But let me tell you,
this is huge.
But here's the thing: it's not even a motivational thing for me. I'm not trying to be a motivational speaker. I'm not the guy that on Instagram that wants to make these videos to get views just on motivation. What I'm saying to you, Josh, right now, it's in my bones. That's what I'm saying to you. 100%. So for me, if we can get a person that gets up on stage and says, listen, you're black, you're white, you're Asian, you're Middle Eastern, you're 20, 30, 40, 50, Democrat, Republican, Independent. Let me tell you what 10 things we don't have in common. Let's go through them. Some of you are pro-life, some of you are pro-choice. Yes, yes. Who's pro-life? Who's pro-choice? Great. Set that aside. Some of you guys want us to put more money in the military. Some of you guys don't. Is that fair? Yes. Okay, great. Some of you guys want to have more health insurance. Some of you guys are saying it's costing too much money. Yes, yes. Some of you guys are for Planned Parenthood. Some of you guys are not for Planned. Is that fair? Some of you guys are for this. Some of you guys are for more cops. Some of you guys aren't. Is that fair? Yes. Now let me give you a list of 100 different things. You ready? How many of you guys here want to see your kids' dreams become a reality? Make some noise. Okay, great. How many guys would like to see your craziest fantasy, the place you want to go travel to, one day become reality? How many guys? Yes. How many guys would like to live in that house in the cul-de-sac that you always tell your wife and your kids that one day we're going to live in that house in the cul-de-sac, and you come home listening to Sade, Cherish the Day, and you visualize listening and drinking this glass of red wine, Bordeaux, and while your family, how many guys have, yes, how many guys would like to have good conversations? How many guys enjoy a good meal? How many guys enjoy watching a good comeback in a football event? Alex Smith against Tom Brady, they're up 23 points, and Tom Brady comes back and wins. You enjoy a good game. How many guys? You want me to continue? Do you realize I have a list of 1,000 things we all have in common? Why the hell are we so caught up on 9 things that are dividing America? Why are we doing that? What is this all about? So to me, if somebody who is born here, who can go become a president one day, gets behind this message that's in their heart, that's not an act, because you got to believe this. If you get behind a message like this and you win, I think 1,000 years from now, we're going to be talking about you.
It wasn't the politics side. It was basically the dream side. And so, even when people think about number go up and they think about, my ROI or these are still abstract thoughts. What they need to think about, in my opinion, is what does this enable me to do? What does it enable my family to do? How, when I'm giving a referral, what am I changing potentially of this person's life? Is it because they're going to come into the pool and my bags are going to inflate? Is that really your motivation? Because I think that you'll be not just more effective, but you'll be more honest with yourself and with your community and with people around you if you actually put in the work, the energy of starting a business, starting a YouTube channel, starting an Instagram page, building something where you can basically inform honestly your community, about your intention and your reasons.
Yeah, totally agree. Number one market cap for HEX, sure. I really want that too, obviously. It sounds crazy, right? You got to have big dreams, but they're going to sound crazy to most people at first. But yeah, starting something yourself so you have an investment in it. I mean, this YouTube channel has been a snowball effect for myself to want to, it just sucks me in and gives me a sense of, oh, I'm actually doing something. So I get that little reward. And I feel like I can help people out that, they want to learn or they just want to talk about hacks or whatever. But that's been huge for me. I don't think I would have done nearly as much as I think I've already done without starting a channel. And obviously, it's just a drop in a bucket and there's a long way to go. So I'm excited to work on this for long term. It's one of the first things I can actually, really get on board with in terms of the idea and just the creating positive wealth for you and those around you. I mean, wealth is like, it's like a plant or a tree in a forest, right? Because trees exist in a network that's underneath the soil. And so if you can be the healthiest plant in the forest, plants actually allocate resources to those that are in need. So you can really make your own life just amazing, obviously, but that doesn't mean you're going to suck life away from other people. You're going to actually end up helping and forming symbiotic relationships with everyone you kind of come in contact with. But yeah, that whole video, I was just thinking, damn, I wish I could talk like that guy. I need to improve my public speaking skills.
If you go, if you can click on it and it'll tell you how to look at the closed caption, and then you can copy the closed caption of what he said and put it into a script, and then use those as keywords. Find the keywords that are like the phrases he was talking about. I wanted to walk my daughter down the aisle because I didn't want her to have to marry a schmuck like my brother-in-law. These are great catchphrases. But basically, they're also they trigger something in a person's mind that's associating. Oh, I relate to that. That's why people cry on movies or they laugh on movies, is because they're relating to what that actor is trying to put across, right? And so you need an anchoring in some ways when it comes to that kind of stuff. But
yeah,
that's really my
motive. It needs to have a lot of punch though, to not get skipped over in the first 5 seconds as well.
Yeah.
So that's what I've been thinking. That's what I've been thinking hardest about, is how do you get something to not get skipped over? I saw some guy, he put his video in upside down. So the ad is literally him talking upside down. He's like, this is crazy, right? And then he's like, yeah, I bet I got your attention now. And then he flips it back. I mean, really, it could be as stupid as that. So,
well, we become numb, and we become numb to all the ploys and all the decoys and all the distractions. I mean, this is an attention economy, right? So, your attention being held for 15 seconds, it has value to someone else to get in front of those eyes for 15 seconds. So there's capturing attention. Usually, that's what I was trying to say about like a meme contest outside of what we already know, outside of this echo chamber of the people already involved in inside telegrams and, the same people that we see often, even when there's new people coming on as new faces or, being brave, like this HEX patient the other day. He's some other country in the middle of the night, 3 a.m, and he pops on and he starts his channel. And, a lot of these people are looking to us as we stumble through this learning curve. And, that just proves, hey, if that guy can do it, I can do that too,
Yeah.
It's very cool.
Yeah, man. It's awesome. We got good texture in the chat. What's going on, dude? Thanks for coming. We've done 2.5 hours, guys. You got anything else you want to talk about?
It's kind of flown by, actually.
You're on a Sunday night in Florida, so it might be late there. I could talk forever, but I like texture. Good texture the other day was teaching Hebrew or something. I don't know. I was like watching his stream for a while. I was like,
oh, is he into languages?
I'm learning. I think he speaks, maybe double confirmed, but he was saying he doesn't like to say certain words out loud because he isn't sure exactly what they invoke, but it was interesting. Like, oh, he speaks Jewish. He speaks Hebrew, maybe. I don't know.
Interesting. This guy started Crypto Orange. I started onboarding a dear friend of mine into HEX today because I would be remiss if I didn't. I can't remember ever feeling this way about anything, especially having to do with money. Yeah, it does feel a little too good, too good. And I don't want to say too good to be true, but I feel more at ease with this investment than I've ever felt before, just due to everything I've seen via experience. I think that's really all we have, is the experiences that we've had and the current experience that we're having. You can't prove that this is going to work. There's no guarantee that this is ever going to work, but from what I've experienced and what I've gone through, it seems the most likely. That's just me. HEX is the only project worth onboarding friends and family. Yeah, because you don't want to scam your friends and family. Those are the people you care most about, assuming. So you want to feel comfortable. HEX News 24/7 network. We're close, man. Between RG3 and Hexologists, I mean, we got at least 2 hours a week or 2 hours a day of live streaming about HEX. Sometimes much more.
Yeah, and overseas in the middle of the night, like Gary was mentioning, I mean, it could be a 24/7 here by big payday.
It'd be fun to do another 24/7 one. If we're all going to be in Miami, maybe some of us do it in person too.
Yeah.
Get a nice conference room or something.
Just out on the beach, get some laptops out there.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of fun. Truth is attractive and a rarity in crypto. Yes, it is. Well, guys,
about to wrap up.
I got nothing left. It's getting late here. I might call it. Thanks for coming on. It's always a good time.
It's fun.
Pleasure.
I love this this format. This is a pretty good format because I think it actually provides leverage. And it actually, one of the things I think that another skill set, maybe a little like 5-minute video that you would make about how you came up with a script, like how you, not a script, but an outline, because these little bites, you can either edit down long content into lots of little bites, or you can say, here's the message, here's what I'm going to be talking about, do your little intro, and then open it up the mic for a little bit, and then kind of cut it off, because it just brings more hunger to the sector.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the 2 to 4 people live stream maximum is a pretty good number. Then once you get more than that, it's hard to get a word in sometimes.
That and your idea flow and discussion flows kind of stays on topic rather than jump around with different comments, and then it's like, oh, you gotta go here now. This is a really good conversation. I like this. Specific, marketing, education. It was a really good chat. I really love it.
Great.
For sure. See you later, Johnny Chaos.
Have a good night, guys. I'm going to sign out.
Peace out.
See you, Gary.